medical study on the effects of marijuana use confirms that everyone knows you're high and that you'll most likely never stop feeling like this.
Your parents know you're high. Your friends know you're high. Strangers on the street know you're high.
Welcome to Everyone Knows You're High. Hosted by Uncle Kalei.
You're gonna never come back, you know, all that stupid shit.
And Uncle Erik.
If I could retreat away.
Yeah, you should definitely try that.
This is forever. This is the new reality.
Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show.
Clap it.
Yep.
Okay.
It's official.
Yes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Everyone Knows You're High, starring the Grow Guru and myself, Uncle Erik. This week, our guest in studio is Randy Gonce.
Yes, sir.
And joining us via Zoom magic, DeVaughn, all the way from Connecticut, right? On the East Coast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you guys both for being here. So.
Man, okay. So, introducing our guy, Randy Gonce. Randy's here as Randy Gonce.
Yes, sir.
You can give him a little introduction on yourself.
Yeah.
And both you and DeVaughn too, man, just kind of introduce yourselves, what you guys do, your passions, everything, a little bit about yourself. Let the public kind of know you as an individual.
Cool. So I'm sure some people kind of know me in the space. So I'm currently the director of the White Cannabis Industry Association. And in that role, I'm kind of, the administrator, help people put meetings together, strategic plan. And that's a role I got after I worked in the governor's office for a year. I was working on homelessness policy in the governor's office. It was a difficult job. I, banged my head against the wall a lot. There's a lot of good solutions out there that the government's incapable of providing. Before that, I worked at the legislature, did policy at the legislature. I was a committee clerk, kind of did all the kind of little jobs that you need to do in the legislature to figure out how things work. And before that, did heating, ventilation, air conditioning work, was in the Air Force for a while. But my background is in sustainability. I got my master's in sustainability at HPU. And then, my passion project on the side is plant medicine, and that's why I brought some plant medicine for y'all today. Not only did I bring a little bit of cannabis, but I brought some Pakalolo. It's a native plant to Hawaii. It's good for making in teas, good for high blood pressure. And then I brought some salve, actually. This is made by Auntie Tuti, Kalei. On the side, me and my Uncle Kimo propagate native plants. Our tagline is we propagate to educate. On the important uses of native plants in our lives and how plant medicine can enrich not only culture, but our health and wealth.
Fuck, I'm going to need some of that shit. My shoulder has been bothering me. And DeVaughn, if you want to tell everybody what you do, a little bit about yourself as well.
Yeah. Happy to. Just want to say I'm stoked to be here. Long time listener, first time guest. And yeah, I'm DeVaughn Ward. I serve as the Senior Legislative Counsel at the Marijuana Policy Project. For folks that don't know, Marijuana Policy Project has been around for over 25 years, and they've played a role in most of the cannabis legislation, medical and adult use throughout the country. They played a leading role in Colorado, played a supporting role in California, led the charge in Vermont, Connecticut, played a supporting role in New York and New Jersey, and now heading up efforts in Hawaii. I've been working with MPP for a little bit over 3 years. I came on and right around the pandemic. So February of 2020, I started at MPP, which was a super interesting time to, start in the cannabis space, but got to, work on New Jersey, New York's, and played a pretty significant role in Connecticut's legislation. All of those adult use markets helped to work in and helped to get passed. I'm an attorney by trade, licensed in Connecticut. Prior to working in the cannabis space, most of my cases were criminal defense and civil litigation, primarily litigating on behalf of prisoners in the state of Connecticut who were harmed or killed as a result of inadequate medical care in prisons. And so that was my big thing before I started working in cannabis. Is my job was to sue states on behalf of prisoners, and it was pretty mildly successful at that. Helped pass some laws in Connecticut related to inmate rights as well. And I really look at cannabis legalization, cannabis reform as an extension of civil rights. From my background and as a criminal defense attorney, seeing how the plant has been used as a weapon against particularly communities of color. I felt it was a great fight and a great opportunity to get into, and so been doing that for the past 3 years at MPP. And my personal story is I actually was born in Hawaii. I was born in Tripler, born on a pig hospital on a hill. I tell everybody, and born on Oahu in '85, and got the opportunity to relocate back to Hawaii almost 2 years ago. My dad still lives in Hawaii. He's lived out there for almost a decade. He lives over in Kaneohe. I live in town. I live in Honolulu, and so just really stoked and honored to be back in Hawaii, particularly working on cannabis reform. And that's kind of a bit of my story.
Right.
Nice. Dude.
I just want to say I really appreciate DeVaugh's background. Having someone with that kind of knowledge and that coming from a space of you're kind of already fighting for people and coming into the space like this. I think a lot of times attorneys in fact will find themselves in the cannabis space from different, litigating corporate law or real estate law, stuff like that. But to have someone with DeVaugh's background, when I first met him, he came on the island and he was just reaching out to all stakeholders, being like, yo, how do I, where do you guys need help, essentially? Where can I help get involved? And I was all like, finally, someone that kind of like the policy knowledge, understands people, understands process, to kind of like dig into the details. And he's been a huge asset to the conversation, at least in that big square building.
Right, and somebody to advocate for like prisoner rights, you know what I mean? And that stuff kind of translate and goes hand in hand with this cannabis legislation and, expungement of records for people who are currently imprisoned for cannabis. It's, yeah.
Fucking step backwards.
Well, the two things seem to go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I think that's awesome. Go ahead. Hold on. I'm going to do something real quick.
Thank you, sir.
I'll say a little bit about kind of engaging. I think a lot of this conversation today is going to be around like legislation, law.
Yeah. Just bring that up to the fucking
stuff
light.
like that.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think there's a big misconception with the public right now and how the bills are written and how there's a lot of gray area. And like people like me, and I'll be honest, like when I read shit like that, I'm like, I conk out because like there's a lot of mumbo jumbo in there. And I speak for a lot of people who don't focus on these verbatims. It makes me fucking nervous as a farmer because I look at that, I'm thinking like, oh shit, red tape. And a lot of people in Hawaii are thinking like, oh shit, this is going to cut out not only a livelihood or a point of income, I'll be honest,
Totally.
It's a point of income. People make income off of this plant. It's as a farmer, they should, because there's so much effort that goes into the cultivation of this plant. Just coming out of your pockets to keep your garden alive. Yep. There's a lot of shit. So compensation to me, morally, I'm for.
Big time. And
when
I will back that up 100%.
Right. And when I see rules like this being brought up, I'm like, oh shit, the door's coming shut.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And to have concerns is completely normal, right? But I think what today is a really good opportunity to is bring those concerns and really ground them in what's on the table and what's not on the table, what's on the chopping block and what's not on the chopping block, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, to start the conversation from the jump, the rights to grow at home and the rights to have a caregiver provide you medicine has never been on the chopping block, ever, in any of these bills. In any bill that's been put up in Hawaii. And I know that that's a huge deal for a lot of people. And the beautiful thing about Hawaii, I think, is Hawaii always has recognized, as other states have taken away the right to grow at home with legalization efforts. That's a staple in Hawaii, is you will always be able to grow your plants at home. In the current program, the medical program, it's 10 if you're a patient. In the bill that was put up this year that had the most gravitas, it was 6 plants. If you're over the age of 21, you can have 6 plants, no problem.
Like no,
nothing. I mean, just like 6 ko'olau at home, whatever you want it. You know what I mean?
So is that like just a misunderstanding, or is that is that misinformation being spread through social media that like that's going away?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, and I get it. Like from your point, it's like it's hard to read these bills, man. Like.
Right.
You know, I've been lucky enough that I've worked in the process and got to engage with it at some point to know how the legislature writes bills and the legal jargon and how things are written. You know, if something's underlined, it means it's new. It's not an actual law yet. It's just being proposed. All these little nuances in how something is written is really important. And there's no central place in Hawaii that distributes the information.
Right.
True.
I think like in other states, you always had like a central org like MPP, or you had Normal, or you had groups that were well funded, well resourced, had attorneys on staff, had like a group of people behind them, and were able to like put out newsletters and be able to do all this kind of stuff. We don't have none of that in Hawaii. None of that.
And
Everyone
even if
is
it
in an echo
is,
chamber.
like if you look at 2 sources, it's very contrasting. Some of the opinions that come out in those sources. So like, again, we're caught in a rift area where I'm like conflicted of like left or right, A or B. Where am I looking? And honestly, like, you know, back to the bill itself, it's mighty hard to produce adequate medicine for someone that needs it. Let's use RSO as an example. 10 plant count is not enough, in my opinion, to produce medicine on a steady basis for anybody with an ailment. Cancer patients, RSO.
Yep.
Cancer patients, they need high quantities of cannabis, which is reduced down to a low amount that they're going to need on a readily available basis. How I feel deep down inside when I look at this bills and then putting a cap on the caregivers is, 5 cards, 50 plants sounds like a fucking lot. But when you break it down, clones, veg, flower, that 50 gets used up real quick and then some. And, I like to keep a little insurance on the side in case my cuts don't make it. I want to make sure that there is available medicine. So on the end game, let alone not making RSO and having that being a fucking issue, and that's looming in my head, is holy shit, I don't have enough medicine with 10 plants for my aunties who have cancer. That is what's fucking playing on everyone's heads, is like, hey, you're limiting me on my loved one's health. Fuck you. That's what's coming up.
Is 10 plants? 10 plants is the limit right now, right?
Per patient.
Yes.
So
Per
like
patient.
if
Right.
you get your card, you got the right for 10
So the
plants.
law says 5 patients, 5 cards.
But
50.
what you're saying right now is, as the law currently stands, at 10 plants per patient, it's not even. It's still not even
And
enough.
to be honest, like, given your reasoning and giving kind of what you could put together as an argument, it's reasonable that you would be able to approach the regulator and say, look, this is what I do, and this is the products that I need to supply, and this is just not enough. And like, let's see if there's an exemption to have. You know what I mean? Let's enter in a dialogue to see like what we can do, right?
Yeah,
And I think the bigger issue around kind of the caregiver issue right now is that it's actually not the caregiver program that they're touching, right? Like, in law, it currently states you can designate one person to grow your plants, no more than one person, right? But what they're trying to address is the stacking of your card at a certain site that you now control, because in the law it says you can control a site, you can grow your plants there, and that means upper interpretation, right? Control means you could rent it out. It means that you've been given permission by whoever owns the property. You know what I mean? It's a very gray area. You don't have to own it. You don't have to have a TMK that says Randy Gons owns this house. And it's gotten to a point where the conversation around limiting how many cards to have per site was never really a big deal until there was an outlier. And, there's...
We know who you're talking
Yeah,
about.
right. So Kairwailua has 1,000 patients plus on their site, and Randy Gonce, I don't have an opinion. You know what I mean? Like I only can have the opinion of like what's the reality in our face, and the reality is, you have on a piece of paper, you have an operation that looks exactly like a dispensary that's licensed, right? A registered LLC, check. Both Kairwailua, both licenses. Has investors that invested into their group to create this large operation. Both on both sides, check. Dispenses cannabis, whichever way you want to put it, what you're paying rent or whatever for, they're both doing it. Check. Dispenses other products. Check.
Well, not just cannabis. I think the big thing that I've heard from regulators is the manufactured products, right? That creating vapes, tinctures, hash thing, creating manufactured products, I think is the biggest thing that I've heard from regulators in Hawaii. But it's not just the concern. The concern is really not about growing flower, right? It's about particularly vapes and other products making their way into the stream of commerce. But I want to let Randy continue. But I think actually Kairwailua just posted the graph from Department of Health. The next closest grow site is like 50 patients at one grow site, and then there's this big jump to 1,000, right?
Most people have 50 or less. If not most, everybody
but
has 50 or less.
It's always proportionate to the amount of people you have. So let's look at it from the other contrasting viewpoint. Is all these people don't have the means to grow, so this area is taking the responsibility of growing medicine for them. So it's not a argument of stacking cards. It's how much medicine can I produce for this much people? I already mentioned that 10 plants per patient is not enough to produce enough medicine for a cancer patient. So you're stacking cards, but essentially you're still not creating up with the demand for all these people's medicines because we're still stuck at 10.
I mean, I think we're probably only meeting the demand for 6%
fraction
of the population that has cannabis. And you're not wrong. Like, to be honest, I think probably everybody here tonight is going to agree almost on everything.
100%.
Personally.
Well,
to the point where the reality is that we have to, there's rules and laws in place that were put in by people that are not us.
Right.
And given what's in place, you have two operations that are exactly the same on paper, but that are held to completely different standards. Right. I mean,
but
go ahead.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I
DJ.
also want to push back a little bit. I mean, I can certainly understand where you say there are some patients where 10 plants aren't a sufficient amount. I'm a registered 329 patient. Who actually has my grow site registered at Kairwailua, and I actually need less than 10 plants, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about cancer patients that actually need that massive amounts of.
But I guess my point is there are some 329 patients that have a high need, and there are some that don't have as high of a need. So it's not everybody in the program is a cancer patient. I understand there are outliers, like you're saying, but there are a lot of folks who are similar to me too, who use cannabis to treat anxiety, PTSD, other conditions that don't require such a high amount of cannabis either, that are not all 1,000 people at that site are cancer patients, right?
Right.
So,
but
it's kind of both sides.
That's just one example of an ailment that would need a massive amount. I mean, PTSD. Anyone who has PTSD. I mean, it's hard to say that X amount is going to help me out this month and X amount is going to help me out that month. It's pretty much I need ready medicine when I fucking need it. So it's not hey, take 2 of this, call me in the morning, or here's a prescription, come to the desk and we'll fucking renew it. Because if you look at it through that aspect, it's pretty everlasting. If I had a bad back injury, and I do have a back injury, I go to my fucking doctor. That dude plugs me up with fucking pain meds, which I throw away every month, and he makes sure I do not run out. Because if I overdo it on that pain meds, I fucking die. You know what I mean? So it's we have an avenue to express this medicine freely without injuring or hurting anybody. If the only regulation and caveat is vape cartridges, to me, that's a wash completely.
Well, I have a question.
I think it's deeper though, and I think to the point though, like that's more of a philosophical argument, and like, and that's a thing that like I feel like a lot of us are closer on. But I think the main argument and the one that I was trying to make is it's like from the standpoint, and you've got to think, put yourself in the shoes of the ones that need to have the control, right? And that's the state, that's the regulators, that's the lawmakers that put the laws in place, so that they can say, okay, we're trying to follow all the things we can do so we don't get federal intervention, whatever the case may be, right? So if you look at it through that angle, the philosophical argument, really, I mean, we can talk about that till we're blue in the face. They're going to be like, okay, when you want to talk about what we've got in front of our face,
right?
You know what I mean? Which is an operation, again, that on paper reads exactly like a dispensary.
Yeah.
And
here's what I wanted to ask is it that it's on paper it reads like a dispensary, or is it the scale they're doing it? Because on paper,
both.
even if Auntie was making you coconut oil with the medicine she's growing for you, she's doing the exact same thing, but just for one patient.
Totally.
Yes.
And to that point, it was never an issue when it was, 40 cards per site, 41 cards per site, 20 cards per site. Everyone knew that was happening, but no one really wanted to like make it an issue. It wasn't anything that everyone really. I wouldn't say they didn't care about, but like it wasn't something that would rose to the issue of like, let's have some legislation about it, right? But I think because there's this one outlier that is so vastly different, and not only is it vastly different, but the outlier has made it a point to make themselves kind of a lightning rod, right? Shine the light here, inviting people to their property to see what's going on, and it's being as loud as you can and saying like, "Yo, look over here." At some point, someone's gonna be all like, "What?"
It's
like
kind of like because farmers market, like we were talking about earlier, farmers markets exist and operate all the time.
Right.
But if a farmers market grew to the size of a Costco,
right.
people like authorities and regulators and people would start looking.
They'd go there
like,
do you have your food handler's permit?
Yeah, like what's
Are you
going
making
on
sure
here?
that people aren't, consuming
that.
salmonella?
I get that, but we're talking about like morality versus like going through the
Right.
motions.
And I'm right there with you. If I had the magic wand, we would be living in a cannabis utopia. You know what I mean? We could be
Right.
doing this to any scale we wanted.
But the issues we're talking about as far as like legislation and these kind of restrictions and stuff, would it being legally at a federal level, would that even make a difference? Because the state might still want to regulate it for, other purposes and all this kind of stuff. Or is it one day going to be like a tomato or a broccoli where it's just like, whatever?
Not in America.
Not, true that.
You know what I mean? And to be honest, like that's sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It sucks. Like, obviously, we all know what's going on in Thailand right now, and Thailand's a pretty
What's going on in
conservative
Thailand?
place, but
Thailand?
they're doing really, really great things for cannabis in Thailand right now. It's legal nationwide. It's kind of like this new industry that's popping up. They have a lot of entrepreneurial things going on. It's not really controlled, via the state to an extreme level like it is in the States.
So does the government get involved at all, or is it maybe just
small
like
kind,
for testing and regulation?
I mean, they've gotten involved so much that they've issued out like thousands of plants. They've like sent out plants to people's homes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just a different mindset,
So
right?
But that's another thing to think about at scale, though. Can we do that in the United States, right? Because there's too much fucking people here.
Where would we, like, I think the good question there is all like, where does that ever happen anywhere else?
Right.
Are they issuing out thousands of kale to people? You know what I mean? No, right? Like we're not even providing our kids nutrient-dense food in America.
That's hella progressive.
You know what I mean?
They kind of like purposefully stay away from suggesting grow your own food.
Yeah.
So I got a question from here. Who helped write the laws? Did the dispensary help write the laws on
What laws?
what we're dealing with, the 1217?
Who wrote 1217?
Yeah, or who helped write it? Let me go.
Mike, what's that comment about? Who drafted 1217?
Is that on yours, Kalei?
No, it's on the Everyone Knows Your High.
I personally have no clue who drafted that bill.
Introduce the majority of the bills.
Introduce the
That's
majority
all
of
those
the bills.
fucking.
Sorry, my verbatim's
That's
so
all
off,
those
dude.
representatives we read that were on the other episode.
I mean,
I
so
don't know
how
their names.
legislation works, right, is that like you can have an idea and you can help write up and draft a piece of legislation or draft some ideas and hand it to a lawmaker. Say, hey, we think this is a good idea. Do you want to help us push this idea? and then this bill goes into the bucket of ideas and you debate it. And some industries and some people and some special interests and some individuals can have better relationships to make those bills come to fruition, to have the conversation, right?
Right.
In the case of, lobbyists are one of them. In the case of the bills that I was involved with this year, there were I helped a little bit write Janae Capella's bill, Representative Capella, great friend of mine. I've known her for years. We served on the same nonprofit board before she was a representative. So she needed help on expungement pieces, stuff like that. So I provided language to her, and they concocted a bill together. And what happens when you have these ideas is you send the language usually to a drafting agency in the state capitol.
Okay.
You have like the Legislative Research Bureau, or you have the House Majority Staff Office, and they take your language and they have attorneys in that office and they write it into legal jumbo and how it needs to be written and how it needs to be formatted and all the things. And sometimes there's a little bit of a lost translation too when the idea to the drafting. But then that gets introduced, and then you have the conversation. A bill number gets set, and you go forward. In regards of 1217, I'm not sure who the actual drafter and the author of that bill was, but it was a long-standing issue that like someone was going to introduce it, whether it was going to be the state, the Department of Health, some individual. We're going to address that at some point.
Right.
And the fix of the card stacking operation. The one that's have gotten out of control and operates as an entity that has extreme restrictions. The solution was to knock it down to 5 cards. And I'm not here to say that was a good solution by any means. The real conversation should have happened and had of like, when is too big?
Right.
When is big too big?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that should have been the conversation instead of starting at one place, right?
Are these numbers like 5 cards, this how many, whatever, is any of that stuff up for debate or discussion
100%.
for
so
changing?
the current bill right now, it was changed to 50 cards per site. Okay. And actually that was at suggestion of some people in the industry. They're all like, of course you're going to need more than 10 plants sometimes. 50's even, that's a stretch, but you need 500 plants at your house, 50 cards. You know what I mean? Maybe you do, and that's cool. But so now it's at 50. So the current bill 1217 says you can have 50 card stack, and there's no sunset. The sunset for when that goes away has been eliminated.
And
so people are saying like, what is that reasonable? 50?
So the change to 50 happened after it wasn't passed in the House or in the...
No. It was moving through all the committees.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And this is what happens when the bill's introduced. You get multiple attempts to have a discussion about it. So a lot of the times bills are introduced as just a discussion piece. Let's just have the conversation. Let's force everyone to come to the table and talk about it.
Right.
So essentially, the bill that was put up, 1217, originally had 5. Is like, let's start the discussion. 5, is that too small? Do you want to go higher? What do you like? Maybe there's a whole other solution. Maybe the bill is supposed to bring everybody into regulation. What does it look like?
Right.
And where they've landed is the lawmakers have gone back and forth and they've debated and they thought that 50 was a reasonable amount of cards.
Okay.
So what is wrong with the 1,000? I mean, so Carwilo, I just wanted to clarify, like, what is on paper all that stuff. So what is the problem with it? So everyone can know.
Again, this is all from, and I'm putting myself in the shoes of the state, right? This isn't. I'm not saying that there's issues.
This is not Randy's personal opinion.
But the state is saying, look, you have again, LLC not paying taxes. You have an registered LLC. Bigger than any licensee in the state. So the lawmakers spent all this time to come up with these rules and regs to protect public safety, protect the public, blah, blah, blah. Whether we agree with them or not, that's the law. And this one operation gets to skirt all of that regulation. Don't got to test your product. Don't have to pay your taxes. Don't have to have a plumber to make sure your plumbing's good. Don't have an electrician come in to make sure your wires aren't in the rain. You name the regulation. And I'm sure people know this, but cannabis is the number one most regulated industry in the nation.
Yeah.
And in Hawaii, we are the top, we are up at the top of the strictest rules, right? So these dudes not only have to, the current licensees, have to meet unrealistic expectations, right? They have white glove audits every year where they audit every bud, every penny, every cent, and they go, if you have one thing out of line, you get thousands of dollars of fines, right? Like, you can't mess up, right? You've got to have all your your bedrooms cleaned every 4 hours. You know what I mean? It's like it's a thing. There's multiple. You get 20 inspections a month.
Is that necessary though?
Who's doing these inspections?
No, I mean technically. I mean if you look at the industry around the nation, on different products are regulated differently, right? So like Coca-Cola and shit like that, they have regulations. You got to go in there and meet certain things.
Inspectors who come into their factories.
But
and
cannabis is still treated like like uranium in the United States, right?
Well,
like a controlled substance.
But
Well,
exactly,
how about
like
this?
a controlled substance.
Yes, that's true. But how about this though? Is it being treated more like a medicine and how it should be treated with proper steps and custody and chain of custody, all these kind of things, every step of the way because it is a medicine and you want to make sure it's pure and clean and stuff? Or is it an overreach of authority?
It's like
just
public
too
safety,
much?
basically.
Right.
You want to release a product that could hurt somebody.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like, cannabis has been around.
You and I know this, but like that's another thing. You gotta put yourself in the shoes of the people. They don't know that.
Well, these motherfuckers, excuse my fucking Greek, these motherfuckers shouldn't be in this position anyway because you're not educated enough to add in your 2 cents on this issue.
But pick a topic, pick an issue, pick a department. I mean, that could be said for most
on anything. I mean,
on anything.
The reality
on
is
anything.
The reality is this is how we've decided to make laws. I mean, not just in Hawaii, but across the country. Is that we have a representative democracy, right? And that we elect officials to be the subject matter experts and to pass laws, and that's why we have committees that where these lawmakers sit on committees of particular expertise and they pass laws related to those committees. I mean, that's how this stuff works. But to Randy's point, I wanted to just mention, I think it's really important to talk about the high level of regulation that goes on, not just in Hawaii, but for the cannabis industry in general throughout the country. This isn't a phenomenon that's unique to, I think Hawaii's regulations, having looked at them, are way stricter than most states. But even in more of the lax states, like, even Maine and Connecticut and New York and New Jersey, there are still strict standards related to cannabis products, right? And how you distribute cannabis, who gets to distribute cannabis, the fact that they do background checks on all the employees, all the owners, is they don't do that for, beverage manufacturers or food manufacturers, right? It's very unique to the cannabis industry. But I think it's important we talk about this because I think folks really need to start having a real understanding of like the regulated cannabis market is not the same market as the legacy market, right? And there are very different rules. And what I often tell folks is, legalization doesn't necessarily mean everybody gets a license. What I hope to do in legalization is, particularly if you're a legacy guy, is to allow you to keep doing what you're doing, but with way lower risk, right? With way lower risk, with way lower risk of going to prison. Now, if you want a license, I think that should be available to you. They should be equitable, and it should be a fair process if you want a license. Yep. But understand that selling cannabis in the legacy market is so much different than selling it in a regulated, licensed fashion. And just because you can do one does not mean you can do the other, because it's a completely different level of regulation. You have 280E, which is almost a double layer of taxation on cannabis businesses that I don't think folks really grasp the magnitude of either. So they're just two different ball games, and I think it's important we talk about that and how hard it is to make it in the cannabis industry, regardless of what state you're in. It's a very tough industry to survive in.
100%, and like I'll address the elephant in the room. A lot of how much of this that we're talking about right now has to do with greasing pockets, side fucking money. That like this is turning to be a talk of economics rather than medicine. And that's where I think, where we're talking about morals and everything, that's where I think, like, our legislation or whoever the fuck it is that's doing this shit needs to kind of take a little reality check. And that kind of shows where we're at as a society, because it's like these guys are following the dollar over the ethics. And me being on the lowest level of comprehension of this shit, that's what I see. When I see talks of all this shit, I'm like, whoa, this seems to me that, like, people need to make fucking money. And like this plant shouldn't be about making people rich. It should be about healing people. Sure. And, I understand there's a lot of red tapes involved in the higher ups and getting this pushed through. But, like, at some sort of time, the public, we're paying these guys. We should be able to do something, right? And if so, what can we do?
Vote other people in if you don't like it.
But like, who do we know?
The majority of people don't vote.
And I'm one of them. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, is like, until recently, cannabis wasn't a subject that you could speak freely about. But that's changing, for one. So we don't know how politicians felt when we voted them in recently, because they didn't have that as a platform, because they can't say that shit.
It's been 10 years.
No, but still, let's be honest. Like, in this day and age, a politician can't come on the campaign trail and like, I'm going to do, like, people are going to be like, oh, fuck.
You're stirring the pot, motherfucker.
And here's the thing. Most of the people who vote are going to be the ones who are turned off from that shit. All the kids who are like, fuck yeah, free this, legalize this. We're not the ones going. I'm not a kid, but we're not the ones going and voting for this shit anyway. Right.
But what I want to say that's one of the cool things MPP does. So we actually this summer during elections we sent out a candidate survey to everybody running for office, and we asked them their position on 3 particular issues. One, would they legalize cannabis? Would they vote in favor of a bill to legalize cannabis if it came up this session? 2, do they believe in social equity? Do they think that we should prioritize folks with convictions and Native Hawaiians in the cannabis program? But that candidate survey is on our website. So to your point about asking politicians where they stand on this issue, I think it's critically important. But that's something that my organization does. I know Normal does something similar. They do candidate kind of scorecards. But those are resources I would really encourage folks to look at, particularly around election time, because it tells you where folks stand. And if they didn't answer the survey, we also have how they voted. Hawaii has the benefit of having had a number of legalization and cannabis bills come up, so you can even look at somebody's past voting record and kind of see where they've been on this particular issue. But I think to your point, folks have to, if they want to get their voices heard, they have to participate in the process. You got to vote, and you got to show up to some of these hearings. You got to talk to lawmakers. Like politics is a full contact sport. Voting is the lowest level of participation. That's the easiest way to get involved, right? The highest way to get involved is engaging throughout the process. And I get it. Folks have full-time jobs. Folks don't get paid to do this full-time like I do. And so that's why I really encourage folks to lean on resources like MPP, Normal. There are folks that are out there aggregating and putting together this information so it's easily digestible and readily available to folks who don't have a lot of time to spend going through it.
And to that point, I think 699 was a really good example. If you were able to follow it through the legislative session this year, kind of the overall strategy, and I personally didn't agree with 100% of the strategy of getting that bill passed, but the strategy was come with a bill that's very low bar, low denominator. Really, really just bare bones, and it's a potluck. All the stakeholders get to show up and say, "Oh, I think we need this in a bill. I think we need this in a bill." So DeVaughn got to show up and really do great work with Last Prisoner Project, throw some expungement language at it. That got accepted. It got put in the bill. And what you do is you put the lawmakers in the driver's seat to feel like they get ownership of the bill. They got to sift through all the amendments. We got to hear everybody's viewpoints. What do you guys want in legalization? And then they get to say, oh, okay, expungement's great. Let me put that in the bill. And now you've turned that lawmaker into an advocate for that bill. And now it's saying, like, I worked hard to get this in the bill. And I think the strategy I saw from a lot of individuals in the cannabis space was, like, I'm going to show up and oppose and yell at the bill and say this is a terrible thing. And lawmakers are saying, well, we want ideas. What are you asking for? We want you to come to the table and say, what is missing? You know what I mean? And provide some feedback.
Yeah. So one of the other things look, me and Randy, we disagree on this. I mean, 669, I understand his point about where they were trying to start, but my read of the bill that it was very generous and advantageous to the existing licensees.
100%.
Right. And the gavel that I banged to legislators was, look, if you are going to give these 8 guys the advantage to operate to the exclusivity of everybody else for a period of time, you need to charge them a huge fee, first of all, because it's a huge opportunity. You can't just give them that opportunity for nothing. You need to charge them a huge fee. In Connecticut and other states, they've charged for first mover advantage $750,000 to $1 million for existing operators to be able to have the privilege to operate exclusively for a period of time. So I said that, but the other thing that made it into the bill was, I was like, all these guys have to submit a medical preservation plan, and that actually made it into the bill, basically saying, if these guys are going to convert to doing adult use and medical, they need to be able to tell regulators how they're going to be able to meet medical demand, because the priority is for medical patients, not adult use, right? We have to make sure that there's adequate medical supply. And so part of the thing that made it in the bill was that each licensee, before they're allowed to convert to do adult use, they have to tell regulators how they're going to make sure that patients have access to their medicine, whether it's going to be patient-only hours, it's going to be a patient-only line at the dispensary, a particular offering of certain products only for medical patients. So those are things that I advocated for that, made it into the bill. And I want to say, look, 669, it was a start. I was not happy, with the original draft of the bill, but I also understand it's a process, and I also understand how to get stuff added to the process. And I understand everybody doesn't understand that. So I really appreciate you guys giving us this opportunity, and want to let folks know that the process does work, right? And that we were able to get stuff added to the bill as it went along. And that's the process, and that's kind of the game, is that you just keep on advocating and try to get stuff added to make it better,
Got you.
And at the point where it was up for vote and stuff like that, knowing that, there were people in the community that weren't particularly satisfied with everything, and they had things that they maybe would have changed or added or took, there were changes that they would have wanted to. Yeah. Were those people included in those decisions, or was it strictly the decision by the lawmakers themselves? And then what I also wanted to say too is I think one of the concerns is that this decision is being put up to lawmakers and not to a vote when it affects the people who vote. Granted, again,
I want to add to that too.
Being fully transparent, I don't vote. So
right. I'll answer the first one first. The first one was, remind me again.
Fuck.
Yeah. You had two of them there. Hold on.
That Bud provided was Kush Mountain Animal Cookies times cereal milk,
wait.
organically grown from your local farmer.
The gist of it was like, what was in the bill. Like, people had other things they would have liked to have seen out of it, where their voices heard in the decision making, and then the concern is that the bill's passing based on people's judgment, not a vote.
So the first one, yes. I think it's really hard in legislation to get 100% of everybody's opinion, right? It's only going to be the people that engage the process. Mm-hmm. So they took in written testimony into account. They took oral testimony into account. They contacted stakeholders, and they read everything. But at the end of the day, it's the lawmakers that get to say, thank you for your input. This is what we believe to be the case. This is what we believe to be the best case moving forward. And some of the times, it's not even the lawmakers actually making that decision for themselves. They have to look at the bill and say, given my colleagues, given the makeup of people who are in this building, is this even palatable to make it into law? Knowing that, Representative Jake from, Mililani has X amount of constituents that don't like Y, or he's worried about, transportation. Is this palatable for him to pass and still, want to, they have so much to consider. It's not them just saying, you've convinced me.
See,
there's a lot of background stuff that goes on too.
That kind of compounds my concern, where are they just passing or deciding based to appease other lawmakers, or are they actually looking at the people who it's affecting and hearing what they're saying? I know not everybody.
All the above. That's the American system. I mean, that's how we've created government and legislation, and it's kind of like they have to play nice with their lawmakers, right? Because if they rub someone the wrong way and say, I'm not going to consider you in your transportation issue, then the dude's going to be like, well, you're voting on some of the stuff I'm voting on. Like, why do what are you doing, right? Like, it's just interrelational, right? So, at the end of the day, lawmakers are really in an impossible position most of the time to make a decision for the people that are in front of them, and that's not the accumulation of everybody, right? You're never going to make everybody happy.
No,
And on this topic, maybe you have maybe two representatives or actually elected officials in the state that really even understand a little bit of cannabis. Everyone else, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
No, I believe that 100% that these guys are fucking geezers just hanging out in their chairs that really don't even know anything that's going on with the laws or even fucking touched a plant or even seen anybody that it's affected. You know, like I'm a true believer. And like I was going to ask you, DeVaughn, if you've worked with any local farmers or as a representative for these organizations, have you ever hand over fist, worked with a farmer and, sat down with them, intimately talk story and be like, hey, what do you want to see as an individual, as a farmer, putting out medicine? And, just kind of get a consensus of a group of these guys and, have that be your driving force on where you should go on the way you would represent us or represent the cannabis community.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried to, I've tried to.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I spent last summer met with some farmers over at Puna. I've been up to Jason's spot on the North Shore. I've met with the Oahu Cannabis Farmers Alliance. I've tried to and look, I've met with another number of other caregiver growers throughout Oahu. There's a ton of them, not as high profile as Jason, but there's a couple of them on the west side, that are quietly growing medicine for 20, 30 folks. So I've tried to meet with a wide swath of folks, but I can. I said this, Celia. I saw her on your show a couple weeks ago. What I said to Celia is, I'm happy to amplify your policy ideas, but I'm not in a position to speak for the farmer community in Hawaii because I don't know what their issues are, but I'm happy to be an ally to them. And to help amplify and to work with them. That's my role kind of in this, is to try to bring all the stakeholders together to try to create the best piece of legislation and the biggest coalition possible to push for legalization. So I have an interest in trying to incorporate as many ideas into the fold as possible to try to get as many folks on board. So, I'm happy to be an ally and to amplify. But I don't feel like I'm the person that it should be saying what the farmers in Hawaii want. I'm here to listen and kind of get what they want in the bill.
Us as farmers, we thought that 669 wasn't generous. That's why a lot of us voted against that.
Totally.
We didn't want that. I'm speaking for the people that I've personally DM'd. I'm speaking for the people that I've come in contact with in and out of my store. Consulted, whatever, across this island that I've had an outreach for. A lot of them just want to be free, to not have this looming cloud over us where it's like you can operate within this confines, but we're looking at another entity that's operating on a completely different level. Yeah, I'm probably going to blow away the THC count. But me being an outdoor farmer, I'm probably going to fail the microbials. And that's where I think the effort should be in the state. And as a representative, maybe voice this opinion, or anybody that knows that there's different ways to go about it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I don't think it's cut and dry between this and having economics be our driving force.
I think the one of the bigger issues here is that 669 would have made, quote unquote, people more free, right? I mean, in that respect, you can possess, not go to jail. You can grow, not go to jail without any kind of license. Right. I mean, it would provide more opportunities and more freedoms. It didn't take away anything. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to kind of certain farmers and then not being prosecuted and all the things and having it open and what's your ideal situation, right? And I think really narrowing that down into an ask and say it's these 6 bullet points and this very measurable, and then comparing that to what is actually possible to get passed at the legislature. Those are 2 wildly different things, right? And while you may actually be right in your bullet points of what the ideal world is, and the game at the Capitol is not who's right, and that's the hard thing. It's you've got to play to what within the confines of that that thought process.
Exactly. And that confines is what fucking gets us all worked up, is because it's not freedom. It's already predetermined. No matter what efforts we put in, it's always predetermined,
I mean, to a certain extent, but to DeVaughn's point, he was able to affect a bill.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? By just
Totally.
directly engaging in it, right? And that.
Yeah, I don't think it's predetermined, but I find not just in Hawaii, but in the cannabis community. I mean, we have hopes and ideals for what we want it to be, but the reality is, like, the average lawmaker in Hawaii is not necessarily in favor of cannabis at all. Like from a medical standpoint, you know, they're not educated on the medical side of it, and they for sure are not in favor of adult use. You know, that's the thing. Like, and so when you're crafting these bills, you have to take into consideration. Look, there are 26 senators, you know, in the Senate. There are 75 representatives in the House, and you know, knowing that, you know, 13 of them don't like this issue at all. But you need X amount of votes to get it to pass. You know, that's the reality of trying to make laws.
I understand the frustration with that shit because it's
so frustrating.
It's a fucked up process if you look at it through closed eyes.
Right,
and I'm looking at, like, past your guys' point into these fucking legislators that are sitting on their fucking chairs. They don't know the struggles of what we're doing. You know what I mean? So, like,
and they probably won't ever, really. I mean, that's the hard thing.
Unless you educate them and they know that you're voters. They only care about people who vote for them.
Yeah.
They only care about people who vote.
This is a really good segue because I really want to get into the details of the bill and really try to explain some of the issues and the misconceptions on some of the parts. And one of the big ones that was, you know, and I caught this from the last podcast you did with May and Celia was two things. One being the pilot program, right? So in 669, there was this thing called the pilot program.
Yes.
And it served two purposes. One was to meet a policy goal.
Yes.
So if anyone has followed New York, right, and how New York has legalized and what's happened there, has anybody followed kind of what's transpired in New York?
No, but I'm gonna derail everybody. What are in these fucking jars that are in front of us?
Before we move ahead, Moon Rabbit. Shout out to Moon Rabbit. They've done some iced tea that is microdosed.
With what?
Love it.
Here,
with
Talk to the mic.
Do I get one?
Yeah.
Oh, word. Hell yeah.
Hi, guys.
So what is it?
So this is a lemon ginger mac nut black iced tea.
Okay, you're missing the most important ingredient.
Yeah, what
What's
else is
in
in
it?
Some special stuff in there. Yeah, it's a sipper.
Fun guys or like
I
fucking
wouldn't-
weed?
Yeah, it's fun guy.
beneficial fungus.
Okay.
Microdose.
But what is a microdose to you?
Only
A microdose to you is
8
like
grams.
0.3 of a gram.
Easily, that's less than
0.3?
that.
It's less than 0.3?
Maybe like 0.1, 0.15.
Oh, easy then.
Yeah. It's a sipper.
Just go.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yummy.
Appreciate you.
I knew
And you know
it
what
was
else
hot
we
down
didn't do?
here.
Also, while we're on the subject of being derailed, we smoked 2 joints and nobody said what they're grateful for.
Yeah.
Partially, I take responsibility. It happened I was here and I didn't say anything as it went around. But DeVaughn, we usually light a joint and everybody says what they're thankful for.
You want me to roll another one?
Yeah. But I'm gonna just say I'm thankful for this Moon Rabbit drink.
I was about to say.
Oh, let me roll something up then, man.
Yeah.
You got it,
go.
buddy.
Actually, I like roll them. Can I roll that?
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Uncle Al, you got to slow down real fast, bro. I got to get to the social equity part. He said to explain social equity.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me get to that question.
Hold on. Should I finish my last thought first, or should I just jump?
Yeah,
to
sorry.
All right.
Good on you for remembering where that derailment happened.
No, I really wanted to get into the details of the pieces of the bill. So the pilot program was really to meet 2 goals. One was a policy goal, and if anyone's following New York, they legalized, right? And they have a pretty strong social equity program.
Mm-hmm.
They're an interesting model for legalization. But what they did is they did not allow legal sales for about 2 years, right? And they wanted to make all the rules and all the regulations, right? They said, okay, we'll legalize, but we still give us some time to figure out what it looks like, what licensing looks like, how much we're going to charge people, where can you sell, where can't you sell, all the minute details. And it took them about 2 years to open the doors. In that 2-year period before adult sales happened, the law is on the books. It's legal.
Mm-hmm.
So what they saw is people at Central Park popping up pop-up tents, doling out ounces and grams and stuff like that. And this stuff is, you don't know, right? and again, as someone who has been in the legacy market as a distributor for a while, like, nor here nor there for me. But if you're thinking from a public health standpoint, of a state that made a public health decision and a policy decision, and now you have individuals who are selling anything under the sun, and it's free reign capitalism without any regulation.
Right.
Dudes selling PGR stuff, dudes selling anything they do can make a buck, right? And to the point where they have people were buying up stores, old convenience stores, and turning it into actual dispensaries without a license and selling.
Familiar.
But what's wrong with that, though?
I mean, ask the state. What's wrong with having a brewery that's never registered with the state? What's wrong with having, serving alcohol to people past, all the rules and regulations, and not saying to the state, hey, I want to register my business. Hey, I want to have an LLC.
That's
hey,
what I'm trying to get at. Like, that reform happened when they observed that free market, right? And so it was kind of like hey, how can I profit off of these guys making money?
Yeah, it's capitalism. Yeah. I mean, everyone wanted to make a buck, dude. Every dude that
I mean, too. I don't think it's just from an economic standpoint too. Regulation. When you have a regulated product, you can do things like recalls. Like we just saw, for instance, there was a contaminated group of batch of strawberries, right? That was produced at Costco, and because it's a regulated product that has a serial number and that you can track back to a manufacturer, they were able to do a mass recall and get this product that was contaminated off the streets. That's one of the benefits of regulation, right? Is that when you have a regulated system, you can have consumer protection things. You can say, hey, we don't want these particular substances in vape products. We don't want this particular, you can do all sorts of consumer protection features. That's what comes along with regulation. And so it's not just strictly that, you can tax the businesses.
Well, I get,
but it's also you can protect consumers.
Yeah.
Totally. I get protecting consumers.
Yep.
I get that part. But I'm talking about like flour, right? The carts shit, I totally disagree with. I want it out of here, period.
Sure.
I think carts are fucking bullshit. That's sorry. I'm sorry. But like I think carts serve no medical purpose.
Okay.
So let's talk flour.
But I want to stop you there real quick because I think this is just, again, this is the philosophical argument, right? Like, we can get to a place where we agree on that.
Well, statistically, we can prove that that's a crock of shit.
But again, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong.
I know, but
those guys don't. It doesn't matter to them. It's a program that is unregulated.
What I'm trying to get at, it is an economic decision because they're observing this money flying out of Central Park, right? They're buying up stores. Obviously, they're fucking gaining capital. So when DeVaughn talks about like consumer safety, I don't believe that it's just a direct consumer safety issue. I think it's more so an economic issue because, dude, name one statistic of a death in cannabis. It's been the fucking argument for years.
Like under the guise of public safety, they're trying to fucking
one
get
death
there.
in cannabis.
I mean, to the extent that they then opened up licensing for people to make money, right? Like, people don't get into cannabis to make money, at least right now. This isn't the green rush anymore. People are losing money out their asses, right?
100%.
Like, the only people actually making money are the people who are issuing medical cards and selling medical cards,
or taxing the guys.
Or I mean, some states and some counties are making tax revenue off of it. Really, at the end of the day, but I think going back to this thing with New York, right? So during that 2-year period, completely unregulated, who knows who's selling what? The state has lost control of the market, and no one is licensed to sell. And I think that's the main issue, right? If to tell a lawmaker right now that's considering legalization of that Capitol building that could happen if no one sells on day one, that there's a completely big void in Hawaii, there's a huge black market, that most of our stuff on out right now, you could probably say at least 50% of the stuff's shipped in, right?
Yep.
How much stuff do we know? And a lot of that's probably stuff that didn't pass testing in other states.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
100%.
So you're telling a lawmaker that we're going to legalize and on day one, possibly for 2 years, have a completely unregulated system that you've now sanctioned. And now people are going to be getting who knows what, right? So the policy goal for the pilot project was somebody who's meets to this current standards, who have, whether the standards are good nor bad, should be able to sell on day one to prevent kind of this big vacuum happening where you have who knows what, not anyone being able to get a stranglehold on actual licensed sales.
Gotcha.
So the industry standpoint on that was all like, whoever can meet that requirement. It doesn't have to be current licensees if you don't want it to be lawmakers.
Right.
Figure out who can meet that requirement. And that requirement is 329D, and then which is the law, and then the Hawaii regulations, HARs, is the chapter 35, 11, 805, and or 850. So all those, you have to meet those standards. And that's the policy goal of the pilot program. And I can completely understand why individuals have issues with, individuals who have already been licensed going first, and that there is an avenue for that discussion and that debate to say when do licenses get to go out, who gets to go first, when are they issued. And a lot of this discussion already has been happening too. Like a lot of people kind of really took it upon themselves to poo-poo on the task force that happened this past year. But all of this stuff was debated on the task force. All of this stuff is laid out in the task force. And then hopping over to social equity, dude, the task force had a huge 103-page social equity report that I helped write. 103 pages. And you and I discussed it when I was on this thing, and I was all the majority of people I'm hearing is Kanaka first, yep. Social equity, making sure we're reinvesting in the communities, yep. The majority of people just wanted an opportunity to get into the system and to get a license, yep. All of that's in the social equity report from this task force. Yep. And all we really needed someone to do was say, this work has been done. We should advocate for this. But no one took that mantle, right? I think that's another issue, is that there's a lot of voices in the room, but no one's taking ownership of certain things, right? And so, for example, when May was on your guys' podcast the other day, she mentioned that they have now some social equity asks, right? 85% of those things are in the dual use task force report. So it's not like new news, right? Like these things have been out there for a while. And then a lot of the other things is stuff that you can't just bring that idea to the state capitol in a hearing and expect them to debate whether DHHL should have cannabis dispensaries, right? Like who talked to DHHL? Who's talked to the beneficiaries? Like all those conversations need to happen first before you bring an idea that's maybe not fully baked. What if DHHL says, sounds like a good idea, but 90% of our people don't want it on the list, or say federally we're have to answer to the Department of Interior. We're federally regulated. We can't really do that. Sorry.
Explain to me social equity.
Well, I was gonna ask.
Oh, sorry.
That's a big topic to ask what social equity
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah. So
choke questions right now. Yes, sir.
I like to think about social equity in kind of two buckets. There's front end social equity and then there's back end social equity, right?
Yeah.
When folks talk about social equity, they often talk about what I would consider front end, which is the market features, and that's certainly a piece of social equity. Social equity is making sure that the folks most impacted by cannabis prohibition are made whole, right? That's the underlying concept. The folks that suffered the most are now being reimbursed and are given some type of restorative justice, right? And so you can do that by a couple of things. One, you can give folks market opportunities. You can give them certain advantages in the marketplace. You can give them opportunities to be the first in line to receive licenses, right? That's one. The second piece of equity is resentencing, expungement, and release, right? So making sure folks who have had cannabis convictions can have their records expunged and cleared. Folks who are currently serving time on cannabis convictions can be brought up for resentencing to have their sentences reviewed and be resentenced based on this conduct now being legal. And folks who are also incarcerated currently being released. So that's the second part of equity. The third part of equity that a lot of states don't get to is community reinvestment. Is taking, now that we're creating this legal industry, how do we take the revenue and make sure that the communities that were most impacted benefit from this product now being legal in commerce? And to me, that third pillar of social equity is the most powerful thing you can do. In Connecticut, we designed the bill so up to 75% of the excise tax gets redirected into the 25 worst communities in the state.
That's beautiful. That's so impactful. Yeah. That's the most important part. You're not wrong.
And I think it's the most important part because it's hard to predict winners and losers in business. And that's what we're finding out, right? That's what the data is showing in a lot of these social equity programs throughout the state. No matter how many opportunities, how much money states are throwing at social equity applicants, it's hard to make it in the cannabis industry, right? And you can't predict winners and losers. So you could give somebody a cannabis license and a ton of money, doesn't mean they're going to be around in 5 years, right? And I also think that's an important conversation at equity too, is understanding that just giving somebody a cannabis license isn't social equity. To me, social equity is, do they have a profitable business 5 years after they receive that license, right? And so most social equity programs fail in that regard. But I think the most powerful thing you can do is say, we're going to take a portion of the tax revenue and dedicate it to something that serves the greater good, something that serves the community, where we can look up and say 5-10 years from now, we directed $80 million to solve homelessness, or we directed $80 million to address folks returning home from prison and providing them resources, or things like that. I think are among the most powerful social equity policies. But those are kind of the three pillars that I like to think about when thinking about social equity.
So let me get this right. Social equity is a general term for the entire community, and how cannabis assets will be used for the entirety, the community as an entirety.
No, it's to make those who are most disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs or cannabis criminalization or prohibition most whole. So the main focus is, wherever you are. Mm-hmm. So in Hawaii, it's very different of who it considers to be social equity than someone from New York. Right? Just culturally, historically, things of that nature.
So this social equity,
like I say, this social.
I don't fucking know any of this shit. I'm just like, I'm trying to fucking translate. How does it affect Kanaka at any point in time? Because we were the most affected throughout the entire process of all of this.
I mean, it's a big question. I mean, how does anything not affect Kanaka right now, right?
Because social equity is supposed to benefit and uplift, and I'm sure there's some revenue headed in that direction.
There's some suggestions on what to do for social equity folks in Hawaii. But the thing is that the debate, it's not settled, right? Like, there are suggestions of what to do, but no one has been able to determine what is the best one yet. I think
I'm sorry, go ahead,
I was going to say the conversation that DeVaughn brought up is a really important one to have, because the most impactful things is what can you do with the cannabis revenues that are collected, all the benefits that are going to come out from legalization. Mm-hmm. How does that go to benefit and to make people whole who are disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs?
Yeah. So I mean, what I was going to say is where we got in the social equity discussion this year in the legislature, were in Representative Capella's bill, it defined what a social equity applicant would be. Yeah. So Capella's bill defined it as somebody, not only an individual, but also their immediate family members of somebody who had a cannabis conviction. I and MPP have been advocating to change the definition of social equity applicant to Native Hawaiian. That's one qualifier, to be a Native Hawaiian, or two, be an individual who has a conviction, not just an arrest, but a conviction for a cannabis-related offense. Yeah. The piece that wasn't discussed this year, as Randy mentioned, is so now we've defined who is a social equity applicant. What does it mean? What benefits do you get if you get designated with that status? And there's a whole menu of things you can do once you figure out who gets that status. You can give the folks with that status priority in licensing, which means that the state has to automatically review their applications for licensing before they review other folks. You can do set-asides, which is what New York and New Jersey did, saying, look, however many licenses the state decides to issue, and actually we did it in Connecticut too, 50% or 25% of the licenses have to be set aside for equity applicants. You can do set-asides. Some states have done loan programs where they'll say, hey, from the huge fees that we're charging the existing guys to go ahead and be able to be the first ones to open, we're going to take that money and put it into a loan fund for social equity businesses to be able to use for startup capital. States like New York have even went a step farther, and they've used what kind of like their Department of Administrative Services to go out and actually look for locations to put these cannabis businesses that have high traffic areas and that are in good locations. They're using the state apparatus that way to do that. So there's a menu of options of things you can give to social equity applicants. But right now the conversation, I think, is in Hawaii is really who should qualify as social equity. And then we haven't even gotten to, okay, so once we figure out who should qualify, what benefits should we give them? And that's kind of the two conversations to have.
Now the social equity, is that just big money? Like as far as like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. Sorry.
Well, what I was gonna ask is all this.
I'm like fucking information overload,
Yeah,
dude.
totally.
Well, I want to ask
Sorry,
this,
guys.
or pose it this way, like, because all the social equity programs and things you're talking about are based on for-profit models. It's like, you know, how can people capitalize and make money off of this thing, right? What about the local farmers who do not want to make money off of this and they just want to be able to provide the patients who come to them as caregivers for their medicine? You know what I mean?
That's not changing. You can do that if you want.
But it kind of is, though, because the number of plants they're able to have per card and whatever, all that stuff is being limited. Whereas I know we talked about Kairwailua being the outlier with their crazy number of plants, but if fucking uncle down the street has 20 or he said 50 now, yeah?
50.
Fuck,
500
right,
plants.
take it back.
Oh shit, he's fucked up already.
I take it back.
But no,
it's a lot. That's why
I want to plug some of the work that is done by that working group, though, because all of this is laid out. All of it. All this menu of options, all of it even goes to employment equity, custody equity, housing equity, insurance equity, real estate equity.
Guys,
and it has...
We got to take like we got to smoke this joint. Okay. DeVaughn lit up. We got to fucking talk about what we're thankful for.
That's right.
But yeah,
that's right.
like super
thankful
fast.
for Moon Rabbit Tea.
Moon Rabbit Tea? Killer.
Moon
Okay.
Rabbit Tea.
All right, is my turn?
Yeah, go DeVaughn. Go for it, man.
Yeah, I'm thankful for this platform. Everyone knows you're high.
Thank you,
thankful to be born in Hawaii, and thankful to be working in the cannabis space. So 3.
Randy. Oh, actually, you got to hit it first. Sorry.
Got to have the sacrament before I do the prayer.
I am thankful for the people willing to fight tooth and nail for what it's right, regardless of the outcome. Going out on your shield is kind of like a mantra of mine. I'd fucking love that saying. We're going to fight to the end for what we think is right. You know what I mean? So, like, I appreciate everybody, even on both sides. Like, I mean, everybody has their own beliefs and willing to fight for their own beliefs. So, someone that's willing to go out on their shield, I'm very grateful for that.
It's a pretty dangerous position to be in at the tip of any spear. You know what I mean? Leading the charge into any battle. What do you...
I am grateful for... my relationship to plant medicine in general, the medicine we shared here today, the medicine that I brought to share, the medicine that I'm privileged enough to be in relationship to Hawaii, and then also to your point, I'm very grateful to be entrenched in the details of something that I'm passionate about, and not everybody gets a chance to operate at that level, and I'm grateful that I kind of get that window into that world, and I've always felt that it was been my job or my duty here as Malahini to engage that system that was imposed upon the people of Hawaii that they didn't ask for. You know what I mean? That if I could train myself and educate myself to engage in the legislative kind of HEVA fake state system that exists, that I'd be kind of earning my keeps.
Yeah. Right on, man. Hell yeah.
But Naked, what are you thankful for?
Thankful for Randy coming on and, probably take some thick skin. I know there's a lot going on right now, so thanks for coming on. And it's only going to generate more conversation out there, we'll say. But thanks for coming on and just, stating your opinion. I think it's
pleasure.
good. And
it's all love.
Thanks to these other guys over here for, having and being on that same page. Because I want to hear everyone's side. Yep. I don't believe in anyone being silenced. And, no matter what it is, I feel we should put all the information out there and just let people decide for themselves who they think is wrong or right and make their own decisions,
Yeah.
So,
good one.
Hell
Appreciate
yeah.
That.
That's
Appreciate
a good
that.
one, man.
Yeah,
guided selections, you're good over there.
I don't really see sides, bro. Like at the end of the day, like I really feel like we're all on the same side. Everyone's end goal is the same. We all want kind of a robust community. We want, everyone really wants a variety of great craft product to choose from, the one that supports Hawaii, that is branded Hawaii, that the origins if you're a grower and you grow in Ilioka'a Valley and Kaneohe, you can brand your stuff and it be command respect. You know what I mean? And that's in the horizon. It's just a lot further away than I think a lot of us would like it to be, unfortunately. And that's the sad reality that we're faced with.
It is, man.
Of the system of how you get there. And I've learned through my time at the legislature and working on certain issues. I've worked on minimum wage issues. I've worked on homelessness issues. I've worked on family leave issues that, it's hard it's a hard pill to swallow that you got to play the game of increments. You know what I mean? Like, I can't go in and ask for a minimum wage to be $28 an hour, which we need in Hawaii to survive. We're only talking about $12 an hour right now. You know what I mean? And
that's mental.
It's hard to go in there and know that $12 an hour will not get a family by and still have to beg for crumbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's kind of what, I do at the legislature on the cannabis front, is that, like, I know what the end goal could be and how Hawaii could really support a great culture around this and help our cultural aspect be raised because of our relationship with cannabis. But, you know what I mean? If I walk into a room and try to sell that to a bunch of lawmakers, they're going to be all like, what are you here for?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I gotta really kind of read the room in that
way.
Fuck
yeah,
you
dude.
Know what I mean?
100%. And you got a tough job, dude. Like, you have a super shitty job. I'm sorry that you have a super shitty job. Just because, like, during these times,
not a shitty job, a tough job.
A tough job.
It's
well,
challenging.
I say tough is shitty because shitty is tough. Tough is shitty.
I mean, I like tough.
Yeah,
I like tough.
Yeah.
And I think I got some thick skin.
Dentists are shitty.
Proctologists is shitty.
Right.
The ass man.
I think I got some thick skin. I mean, one thing I said earlier that, like, I had never faced so much vitriol and people like lashing out in hatred until I entered the cannabis space, bro. I was in some like rough and tumble spaces before, and I was in some issues in some communities that, like, we were talking about some really heartfelt morality issues. I've done criminal justice reform, civil asset forfeiture, stuff like that. We're pulling at heartstrings on real things. Until I entered the cannabis space, I mean, I've had messages of people tell me they're going to take my knees out when I go to the Safeway. You know what I mean? Like, I've had threats on my,
And like, everybody shouldn't be that personal. They shouldn't be personal in this whole fucking in this whole thing.
Totally.
Well, no, and honestly, like, I'm trying to tell people, like, we got to keep that divide. But I understand their frustrations because it's a fucking medicine. We can't get it taken away from us. It's our God-given right to grow a fucking plant. I mean, God damn it. I got 4 bunnies right outside. Ain't nobody told me not to have fucking bunnies, but like, it's a freedom of choice. It doesn't impact my neighbor. It doesn't hurt anybody. There should be, this whole thing should not be existent if it was freedom.
In other states that have recently legalized adult use that came from like a medical program, like a New Jersey or I don't know who else, whatever.
Kentucky recently fucking.
Was there this amount of pushback in passing legalization laws? And then question B to that is, like, was the pushback like from just like civilians? Because like in Hawaii, the pushback is a lot of people in the cannabis community. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
And surface level to other civilians, they're like, when they say, "Oh, how do you feel about this bill?" and you're like, "I don't want it passed," and they're like,
What?
I
thought you smoked.
Yeah, you smoke.
Yeah.
I thought you'd love it, but it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? There's things in it, blah, 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 but like...
There's a lot of ill-informed people. I think there's a lot of people like, let's just smoke, like, recreational, like, and they don't see the little... Because their feet aren't in it, like Kalei, who's a farmer.
Sure.
So they don't understand those things. And
well, the cost of living's so fucking high, and he was just talking about $12 an hour being minimum wage. That there's a gap to be bridged, man.
Well,
and
my question was, have other states seen this much pushback before you complain?
Yeah. I mean, I would say yes. I would
totally.
I would say yes. And look, and in New Jersey, in New York, and Connecticut, and it's kind of the same thing you see in Hawaii. It's a combination of the medical community, and the legacy community come together and are very vocal about not wanting full-on legalization and commercialization, and so that's to me that's par for the course, but I think if you ask anybody who's in the legacy community in Jersey or New York or Connecticut or Colorado or California, was their life and business easier or harder after legalization? Most 9 times out of 10 they're going to tell you it's easier. It's easier to be a legacy guy in California now than it was before legalization. It's easier now to be a and that's the thing I think people have to remember, is that most of these legalization bills, if you're somebody who's been selling cannabis, in the legacy market, legalization of cannabis is not going to affect you.
So
it's
legacy
this idea that
Is
all
legacy a
good
euphemism for
Yeah,
something?
no, define legacy market.
What is legacy? Yeah,
legacy just means non-licensed.
black
To
market.
Black
me,
market.
yeah, to
Well,
me, yeah,
you
black
can't say
market.
black
legacy-
market. Black market's not the appropriate term.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like the term black market, but
I'm
so,
sorry.
I would say gray
Legacy.
market or-
Fuck, I'm learning shit every day. Legacy. I'm
legacy
sorry.
is the industry standard.
I say legacy
Polite.
because to me, it's when I say legacy, I mean people who have been operating in the cannabis industry before we had licensing.
Yeah.
That's why
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
I've distributed
I got you.
the
you know what I mean, as a
OGs.
young kid,
Yeah,
and you
yeah.
know what I mean.
I have a question.
People can kind of claim
The guys
on
I
that,
grabbed
yeah.
from in my younger days are all legacy.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
got you.
The
I got you.
OG farmers.
for sure.
yeah, I get what you guys are saying. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why,
But yeah, black
there-
market,
wait,
gray
there's-
market, same thing.
We were calling it brown market at one point, because it's like I
No,
don't know, it's like not.
I find that offensive, dude.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
so
Get a
so why
question.
can't they just hand out licenses? So why can't Carolina's up there doing their thing? Why
Sure.
can't the state
Sure,
go
sure,
in
sure.
and just be like, okay, do this, this, and this, and then you're good to roll? You know what I mean?
They can. That's the thing, is they can if they want to, but they don't want to. I mean, right now they're not in a place. For one, they have these really strict regulations. So if the licenses they issue out, everyone's got to meet those regulations. They're not going to bend and say you can have special privileges.
Right.
So you know what I mean? Karawai technically, as it currently stands, wouldn't be able to meet those regulations. So you can't issue a license out to someone who doesn't meet, electrical code and you know what I mean, all the things, right? Like
So the
that's just
state
a
is
whole
still
process.
issuing licenses right now.
They
I don't
have the
know- I don't
ability
know,
to. Yeah,
like,
they have
I'm
the
not even
ability
know.
to, but they don't, right? Like they're in this space where they're like, we're not told to be issuing new licenses. The program that was given to us says 8 per. There's a reason why they had it that way.
Why?
No one asked for it. That was
Why?
just what the lawmakers came up with, right?
Oh, they don't know why it was just 8?
No. Like,
Oh.
so the Department of Health, they're not in the business of understanding why. They're in the business of, we've gotten the rules and the regs, and we're going to execute whatever you've given us, right? Like, they are essentially the worker bees of whoever passed the law.
Got you.
So they're not there to question things or see how they can, maybe make a new law or improve things in a certain circumstances. They're there to carry out whatever's on black and white in the papers.
Right.
So okay, so that's why it stopped already, because they were told 8, and now we hit 8. But
Yeah.
wait, you just said that
Yep.
they can, but they're not.
Well,
though.
technically, there's a way that they could issue new licenses, but they're just not at that place.
You're
They-
talking
they
about a
don't think-
government agency, Mike. They can do a lot of shit,
Right,
but they
right.
don't do a lot of
Right.
No,
shit.
see that, and that's what I'm trying to get at, though.
Yeah.
Is
Well,
like that's why it's not
guys,
fair.
try to think. I try to really compare, and I know folks don't like it, but I try to compare cannabis licensing with liquor licensing, just because it's or even pharmacy licensing, because they're controlled substances, right? So whenever you cite a liquor store, right, there's a certain number of liquor stores that can be located. You don't want liquor stores in every block, right? So it just like there's not pharmacies on every block, right? And so I think that's kind of where some of the consideration behind having caps. Now I do think, just like liquor licenses, though, the state shouldn't be in the business of saying, okay, well, X amount of bars closed last year, so we're not going to issue more liquor licenses, right? They don't say that. So I do think some of the caps that states set are unrealistic and work against having a freer market. Like 8 licenses isn't fair, it's patently not fair. And the fact that they've expanded the rights of those licenses without offering other licensing opportunities is unfair. For other individuals, I think is unfair.
Yeah.
But it's not unique to the cannabis space. You see that in a number of states where a lot of these states, with the medical programs that were set up, a decade ago, they were limited licensing. They only let in a few players, and most states stayed that way until the conversation of legalization or adult use came back around, and folks woke up and was like, "Oh, wait, hold on, there's only 4 producers in the state licensed, or it's only 8 guys in the state licensed." I think a lot of these things happened 10 years ago in a different political climate, and folks didn't think about it for a decade, and now they're starting to get addressed when states are starting to do adult use. But the licensing thing, I think I think there's this narrative out there that, like, you know, why doesn't the state just offer you know, Kerwailu a license? It's well, because he's not the only person who wants a license. There's a ton of folks who would love to get a license, and you know, for him to just jump in, you know, in front of the line, and there not to be a competitive or open process on who gets however many licenses they're out there, I think is just, that's not how things work. Especially if you're somebody who's saying, yeah, I want a license, like I want to get a liquor license, but I'm going to operate a speakeasy while I'm trying to get a liquor license, right? And I'm gonna, you know, thumb my nose at the liquor commission and operate a speakeasy, but I eventually want a legal liquor license. Those two things are probably not gonna go very well together, right? And so, I think those are some of the considerations around that too.
Okay, but like
This is cannabis, so it's a little bit different
though,
than liquor. It should be
right,
but not to them.
But going back to that though, like why? So like, okay, you said Kerwailua doesn't want to, and then you said, but like the state is not in a place to hand them out. So like, if they wanted to, could they even get one? Because you said the state isn't even in that space of handing them out because they did the 8 already. So like, you see what I'm saying?
It's
like,
been considered.
I wouldn't want to get it either if their state's just going to be
There's
like,
a
no, we
roadblock
already did
there.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
what I'm getting to. So like, it's kind of not fair to persecute them. I'm just using Kerwailua because they're the
for sure
on the map with everything.
Yeah, that's the example to use.
But so yeah, how is that fair to them and be like, we're persecuting right now, but we're not giving you a way to get your license?
Well, I think that's a really great discussion to have. Is like essentially how, and this is something I've chatted with Jason a lot in Kerwailua. Is like, you've got to go to the Department of Health and figure out, what does regulation look like? How can, you know, you've got to at least come to the table and say, look, I get it. You know, we are operating exactly like a license. We're not doing the same things. How do we come to some equal ground in terms of like fairness on how we operate, right? And that conversation hasn't happened.
What about something I think May mentioned was happening in Colorado? I think she called it Farm Gate, where people can just
Canada only.
Okay, where people can go straight to the farm, test their products, you know, get what they want, and it's like,
again, that's the goal. You know what I mean? Long term is like, people can come to Hawaii and then go to a cool, have a farm tour and all that. The way that they're allowed to do that in Canada is because it's federally legal. Right. So the federal government allows that direct consumer.
So once we hit federal, what's going to happen to Hawaii?
To be honest, I think this is a really great discussion too, because this is why I think that we are running out of time. If we do not get the legislature to, at least as a policy goal, and pass a law that says we should legalize in the state of Hawaii. So all we need is that green light and that thing to sign into law, to then allow individuals to prepare themselves, get the infrastructure, get the knowledge, get ready to participate in something that is brand new, this new industry. And that takes years. I'm talking to get your permit, to even figure out your business plan, to get the capital that you can't get from a bank. You have to raise the capital from your friends and family, you know.
But regulating this now, isn't that fucking ruining it for our infrastructure here in the future if we decide to get our ducks in line for the state to be fucking well equipped to take on federal legalization? So by keeping us down, you know, and not building this resume of operating under strict guidelines, like, fuck, I'm down to test my weed.
Sure.
100%. Take it. Test it.
Yep.
I don't care.
Yep.
You know, I fail, I fail. I don't. At least I know what I'm doing as a farmer.
Exactly. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's about equal play. You know what I mean? Like, hey, give me an opportunity to fucking try and get my ducks in line too as a farmer. Shit, maybe I want to be.
But you can unless it's legalized. That's the thing. It's all like, you won't even know how to get your ducks in a line unless the state gives the green light for that policy goal.
Well, I know that for a fact that off the top of my head, rudimentarily, out of common sense, I need building codes, I need fire, electric, all that shit, the permits drawn up. I need safe medicine and safe practices that's low impact to the environment. So basically, if my farm has that infrastructure, wouldn't I qualify for potentially getting a license? If I'm over 50 plants.
Right.
I can't ever get my fucking ducks in line to open up on a mass scale ready for federal legalization. I'll get fucking drowned out as a farmer.
Totally.
So like, that's what,
I think that's the point that I was trying to make.
Okay.
Is that, like, we want people to get ready to build that infrastructure before that happens. But we can't do that unless the policy goal of legalization is a policy of the state of Hawaii. Otherwise, you're seen as someone who's doing something in the illicit market, and like you aren't legitimized, right? And like we want the rules laid out clearly. It says maybe you meet all those requirements, but the new rule says you can't be within a half a mile of a school. And now your entire grow situation has to change, right? Like we have to set the parameters for people then to make smart decisions on what they're doing with their operations, so that they can start the process of getting involved in the system. And that could take 3-4 years. But if we don't pass legalization until, say, 2025, 4 years from then, where are we with federal legalization?
Well, 100%. Right? And also, like, where's the practicality in these bills, you know, as far as, like, lawmakers? Like, all this information is coming back. Why not make it so gray to allow this to happen? I mean, they're not stepping on any toes. People presenting this idea, it's a basic fucking open, you know, here you go. Yes, approved. The money's still there. Everybody still can operate.
They're not risk takers. That's risky.
Yeah?
That's risky.
How so, though?
I mean, to make it a gray area, just to make cannabis a gray area, bro, that's so risky. I mean, we're talking about bureaucrats that most of the people do not want cannabis shops in their district.
I guess any other issue with that is look, we're up to 22 medical states, 16 operational markets, 38 medical states. There's kind of a history of what's worked in states and what hasn't, for lawmakers to look at too. And so, you know, the chances of them taking approaches that other states have not tried is slim.
Presenting them with something as a new idea that is something that's really risky, that doesn't have some backing and some data on it. It's almost impossible.
Now, look, sometimes you get legislatures like look, New York saying that 50% of the licenses were going to go to equity was like groundbreaking shit when it came out in 2021. That was like groundbreaking shit. You know, sometimes you get legislatures that push the envelope. You know, even Connecticut, 75% of the excise tax going back to community reinvestment. Like, you get lawmakers who want to push the envelope. What I see in Hawaii is not that crop of folks. Well, and the lawmakers, they're very conservative.
Well, if you look back on like the history of Hawaii and our culture growing up with a legacy market, we've had it for generations. No statistic, none of which violent crimes, unless it was, you know, Green Harvest. Of course, you got violent. The resume's there for profitability and peace and prosperity. Why not follow that template of having, like I said, you know, being able to take that risk in that gray area? You know, I don't see the fucking collateral damage that could come out of it.
You and I both, but they think differently. I mean, they have a different point of view, and like it's really hard to get individuals that haven't experienced it in the way and got the knowledge that we have to see it in that way.
100%.
It's hard to convince them too when they have 40 other main priorities to take. You know what I mean? This is just last on their agenda.
Then you know what? If that's a fucking case, if it's last on your agenda, then we should start seeing our kids' foods get fucking better. You know, we should start seeing this roads look better. We should start seeing fucking. I mean, where's my money going? You know what I mean? Like shit, dude. Wrong. Hey, you know it's money.
A tough process, man.
Fuck, dude, you're gonna tax my farm. Let's see some fucking roads. I want my daughter to eat better. Like that. You know what I mean? That's like real shit on a ground level as a farmer that wants to see fucking society improve. I want to see my home do better. I'm happy to pay fucking taxes as a farmer, but I don't want the constraints of the market. Right? If I'm going to be a farmer that's going to feed my family, I want to make sure the market is stable. With big entities coming in, this red tape that I can't afford, essentially it's a biased fucking movement, man.
I mean, it's across the board, unfortunately. And like, you know, cannabis or not cannabis, it's a tough place. You know
Hawaii is a tough place to do business.
Hawaii is one of the most unbusiness friendly places.
But our legacy market was thriving.
Yeah, because it didn't have to deal with the government.
Right.
Yeah. Right. The government was nowhere to be found.
So let's like make a T-shirt right now. Everybody can wear. Everybody on both sides. Let's say, keep legacy real, and just have it there.
I think that's a beautiful thing that the legacy will never go away. You know what I mean? And that's why too. Like I push back on this idea that there's a monopoly, because a monopoly means that one person takes over, and then there's no substitute. legacy is always going to be there. They're going to serve a niche. You know what I mean? Individuals that have, supply chains that they've known for 20 years. Certain strains, certain growers are known for 30, 40 years. That'll always exist. You know what I mean? And that'll never go away. And we've seen that to be the case in every single state that is legalized.
Right.
So one real quick, because I'm going through all the comments.
Yeah. Let's get some questions. I want to dive into some of these
really
details.
A question. This is one thing that people keep kind of repeating. Because I know you guys are citing other states. A lot of people are asking why we keep comparing to other states.
Yep.
It's a common occurrence to the chat right now.
It's a weird thing in Hawaii. Is that Hawaii chooses to look at other states for data when it serves them sometimes, and then they choose to look at other states and say that was bad. We're not going to do that when it doesn't serve them other times.
Because there's nobody willing to take that gray area risk down here for us to fucking kind of okay, this is how it's going to be.
Yeah. So sometimes at the legislature you have issues that some lawmakers will say, look, this is how they do it in this state. We should do it this way. And then the same issue, you have some lawmakers say, well, because they do it that way, we shouldn't do it that way in Hawaii.
100%.
And I think for cannabis, it's really easy to kind of show people, at least lawmakers, again, who don't really have a lot of knowledge about what's going on, of like, this is the policy they implemented, and this is how it worked out for them, given the people and policies at play. Mm-hmm. And then if we do it the same way, we can have some of the similar outcome.
Right.
So it's a kind of a showing people a transparency of if we get this, we can maybe have this in Hawaii, and it's easier for lawmakers to conceptualize. But like for example, I think Maine has been talked about as a model to use, but Hawaii's not Maine by any means. We don't have the lawmakers that Maine have. We don't have the systems that Maine have.
So how do we get those lawmakers in? Like talking to me as a fucking voter.
Right. This is this has been tried in Hawaii for a long time to have a really responsive kind of people engaging the system. But one third of Hawaii votes. 2/3 of Hawaii's population doesn't vote. And because we're a one-party state, the majority of the votes are won in the primary election.
Okay.
Last year we had 200 and I think it was like 250 or 260,000 people vote in the primary election out of 1.5 million
That's
people.
Like fucking what's that?
Right.
Fifth.
So we're talking that's the people that are voting to get people elected in our state. So how are you going to get all of the plethora of issues that the other million of people care about across to the ones that don't vote? You're just not.
I'm the dude that's sitting on the couch being like, I vote, by the way. I'm the guy that's like, man, my vote don't count. There's one dude tossing that shit out the fucking window when he gets it. You know what I mean? And like it's already predetermined. And it goes through my head. And I can't fucking deny that. I mean, that's just me being like a guy who checking a box and was like, fuck, really? Is someone really reading that shit? You know what I mean? Like that's what makes me feel like, and I see the same shit happening over and over and over again. And it's like this cycle can never be broken. It seems
American
to
politics.
me,
American politics is
right?
that way.
But it seems to me we can do all the footwork up until one point and just get stopped right here. Like, how do we change and break that fucking wall where we can actually make a difference? God damn it!
Some states have a ballot process. That's easy.
Yeah, but when folks say similar things that you just said about not trusting the political process, one of the things I often recommend is that they volunteer. Like I think if you get to see the process, like you can sign up at town hall to volunteer on election day to do either like poll standing or to check off IDs. You can volunteer to do some of that stuff. I think the more you get involved in the process and kind of see how it works, it kind of demystifies it, and it gets folks who, it also is like a check on it too, because having, new folks engaged in the process prevents, folks from getting entrenched and just doing whatever they want too. So like, when we're talking about political engagement, I think like, it's really important to get involved, locally. Because your vote does matter. It really does. And not leaving like in big
Hawaii,
ways, but
sure.
like simple ways, like, your council members in Honolulu, or if you live on the neighbor islands, or even, your state rep, your state senator, when we're talking about issues like cannabis, we're talking about issues like agriculture, food security, those issues really matter. And those elections are decided. The Speaker of the House in Hawaii lost his election by less than 150 votes. Less than 150 votes. He lost his, he won. He won his election by less than 150 votes. The Speaker of the House. And 150 people is not a ton of people. I've seen
Right.
I've seen more than
a little
150
bit.
people at Kiwailua, on one given night, right? Like that's
Hawaii's
not a ton of
elections
people.
Can be flipped,
These-
man. By
Yeah,
just
man,
a
they're
couple hundred
tight.
people. And sometimes there's been elections that are won by a couple votes, single votes, man. So, say that you have, I've worked on a couple campaigns. One recently, some friends out on my side of the island, go knock on doors for them for a week or two, you know what I mean? Get people involved and get voters engaged. Oh, you could flip an election,
No
you know
shit.
what I mean, in the state of Hawaii. It's really, it's pretty, the numbers are pretty close. I wanted to just round out the question you had. The comparison to other states question, but was there anything else behind that on why are we comparing different states to Hawaii?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
Mostly it's just,
Okay.
I mean, there's
do
a lot of different comments about it, but I
right.
just know
We
there's
do
lot.
talk a lot about like why Hawaii is different and why we need to do it differently than other states for sure, and why our unique history and positioning in Hawaii with cannabis in our current system, why things should be done differently. So, they do. The conversation does. It's a spectrum. It's like yes, they do it a certain way in California, and that's probably not the way we want to do it. We got to do it very differently in this state. Most people understand that Hawaii's different in that way.
Well, there's a lot of like. I'm sorry, dude.
No,
I'm
I haven't
so
said
sorry.
anything in a really long time, but I'm just gonna chime in and say that this tea is delicious and
It is
Say, you
really
okay
good.
over there?
you guys
is
should
really good.
heed that warning and sip it accordingly.
Oh
took
yeah, I've been
one little
fucking-
sip, and I
I
was
can
like,
start
nah.
feeling it already.
Nah.
Let me just say it's delicious and it works.
It's so good.
Do we have any more questions, or should I like hit some certain topics, or?
No, yeah, nothing really. Go ahead.
Hold on, I
Wait,
got.
what were we talking about? I had a little bit of fucking caveat to that. What were we just talking about? Sorry.
Why they keep comparing Hawaii to other states?
No. What
Oh,
Randy was
oh.
just saying. Right before we.
We were talking about like voter participation, voting, being active, local
Oh,
elections.
man. That threw me even further off.
Gone.
It's gone.
It's
gone.
Poof, into the universe.
Uh,
It's
it
never
happens.
coming back. Shout out to Moon Rabbit.
That is really good tea, though. It's delicious. I can definitely taste the sweetness.
Take it easy.
Fuck, take it easy.
Fuck, it's delicious though.
Don't swoosh it up. All that shit at the bottom should stay at the bottom. So when you sip it, you just get the top.
No, do
No.
all the bottom.
Don't mix up the sediment, bro.
You gotta fucking send it if you're gonna send it.
Here's a good one I want to talk about. I think going back to what DeVaughn was talking about around, once licensing does happen, kind of like what is it actually like, and like, do you know what you're asking for, right? And I think that's the really good question that like people should be having the conversation now too, because next year there's going to be another discussion around legalization and what licensing looks like, and I think there's people that are kind of a little optimistic about the cannabis industry and like what it looks like to operate in this space, to pay employees payroll, to have to do healthcare, to have to keep the lights on, all the things.
Yeah.
And in an industry where you can't get loans, you know what I mean? Everything has to be capital. I think people need to, because the majority of the time when I went around the state on the task force, we did this listening tour, every island. We went to every island to listen to people, specifically on social equity. But the main feedback was that, like, we just want to participate in the industry. It's like, okay, great. Then we should try our best to make sure your participation isn't, like DeVaughn was saying, like, you're not set up for failure. And currently, even if they were issuing new license right now, majority of those businesses would fail.
Yep.
The majority of the businesses that are open right now, the 8 licensees, are failing businesses. Yep. No one has actually turned quote unquote profit, right? Like no one is making money off of this.
Why is that?
I mean, the rules are just like this. There's 280E, which means you can't write off any taxes, right? If you have a food truck, you can write off your business expenses. Can't do that in cannabis. Just to get started and meet some of the requirements, you have to, when it first started, you had to build an indoor facility that met certain X amount of requirements. You're talking $2 million at the very low end just to get your facility built, right? Like, so your capital investment that is not from a bank, that is from
Private
cash,
investor.
private investors,
Okay.
has to be, you're thinking 8 million, some businesses up to 10 million. And you're talking, they've had
That's
to.
fucking
Is
It
a
is
common,
crazy.
Is a common concern you heard along the way talking to people is that like these mainland guys got that money, they're just gonna come in and back one
Right.
of these ones that already
Yeah, of
exist,
course.
and it's
And
just
how
gonna-
much sway on the bills do they have?
None.
You
That's
sure?
the thing is that the mainland guys aren't even here yet, and they're not even really looking at Hawaii, which
Well-
has been really interesting to me because I used to think the same, and I do think that there is the common enemy, the common boogeyman that like once federal legalization opens up, a lot of these huge conglomerates, we're talking like glass house type conglomerates would come in. Even, pharmaceutical industry eventually would come in. You know what I mean? That is definitely a common boogeyman that we can get behind. But the majority of our people that have invested in licenses here either, had tapped to the local money market, right? So there's a lot of locals invested in some of the dispensaries. But no one is really looking at Hawaii with their 1.4 million population, a very business-unfriendly market, no maturity in a legalization market, as this is a money-making idea. You know what I mean? No one's going to come in and set up a dispensary shop that is supposed to come in and dominate.
100%. There's no money in the dispensary, but so that's what makes us farmers think that there's some fucking amish going on where it's like, hey, is someone getting fucking, is something happening to where these losing businesses, they're fucking losing money.
Yeah.
They need to survive. They have a lot of private investors coming in. So let's make them survive. You know what I mean? I understand that, like, it's tough for them to get started.
It's not the state's job to pick losers or winners. The state really, at the end of the day, and a lot of the meetings we have with the Department of Health, they don't care if you're not making money or not. Like, that's not their job.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. It shouldn't, like, the government 100%. Shouldn't be in the business of picking winners and losers in a market, right? And it's tough because you want patients to have access to the medicine that they deem as regulated and tested and all the things. So at the same time, you have to figure out a way that makes sense, right? So you start with a hypothesis, which was the law. They passed it. And now they're realizing there's all these issues with it. So that's why every year that the medical program has been involved, there's been a law change. Right. There's been seven bills passed on medical cannabis since the passage of the first bill in 2015. So they're going back trying to make little tweaks to say, okay, this isn't working, this isn't working, this isn't working. And it's hard because you don't have a ton of people that have, 10 years of experience in this industry. It's brand new. A lot of these individuals were pulled from other departments or other places in the state government saying, here, this is your job now.
Yeah.
And they have to learn a whole new subject matter and all of that. We're still like getting out of our infancy stages of our medical program.
To me, I would have let the legacy market just kind of pave the way for the operation or the SOP for how the legal market should react.
I think the question is the legacy market actually ready for all that comes with what happens when you get a license?
Right. And there's
actual regulations.
I think if you're talking about investors,
are they going to cry and be like, I never knew I had to have fucking this and that?
No. Okay, as a farm, just to operate as a farm, you need quite a bit of that compliancy already. Just to have your farm going, just to be operational. You need plumbing infrastructure. You need foundation. I mean, fucking winds below. You got to have a solid foundation. So the only thing that would be different is like how Hawaiian Ethos did the outdoor organic growing. I would be adopting that outdoor growing because
technically it's not allowed in Hawaii State. Program. So what Hawaiian Ethos does is they no,
you're totally fine. That's
Ethos. What they do is they have a transparent ceiling, so it's sun grown.
Gotcha.
Right, and that's the way they kind of get around.
Okay.
I mean, that's beautiful, and a lot of other licensees do the same.
It's a greenhouse,
supplementing light.
It's a fucking greenhouse, just with supplemental light.
But outdoor, still, I mean, unfortunately, the lawmakers haven't gotten there yet. Outdoor cannabis growing isn't something that they've allowed, at least in the regulated, licensed system.
But the only caveat to that, and the only thing that would keep the product from being passed would be the microbials.
Yep.
Right. So, lowering a simple solution, lowering the thresholds of microbials and upping the thresholds for heavy metals. That could be an easy solution to get farmers compliant for this fucking social equity or whatever you guys want to do.
Sure. And I think that's having that conversation with the Department of Health is very reasonable. I think that you could come up with a pretty good argument to say that outdoor grow is safe. It can be, tested for X, Y, and Z that is safe. Make sure that the non-safe things are tested for, and I'm pretty sure that you can have a damn good argument and that be a consideration.
I mean, I'd refer back to the legacy market. We've been doing it for generations.
But no one has data on that. That's a problem.
I mean, death could be a good data.
Yeah, totally. But
to start
sometimes like aspergillus,
one vector.
Aspergillus, takes a little while.
It can manifest in different fucking forms. I get it, but at the same time,
but you're not wrong.
Yeah. Death is a fucking. I mean, a serious injury.
Sure,
I can attribute that to, and this is like when my uncle used to use Miracle Grow to grow. Right? You'd think that shitty practices, but you could pinpoint it to I fucking smoked and I got sick or any similar. So I would just refer back to the legacy market as being my template to be like, no, this is totally doable. We can produce safe medicine.
It is doable. And I think that we will get to a place that looks more ideal. I think it's just going to take a lot longer than we want it to. And that's the sad part is like, you know, when I see a lot of people showing up to the hearings and opposing legalization that like I know in their hearts have the same goal and really want the same end in sight, that like if we don't start now, we are going to just continue to be behind the curve. And it's going to get to a point where we're at no return, where Hawaii completely loses the opportunity altogether. That if we allow the perfect to you know, push out the good, then I think that we will one day, which I think is actually probably coming pretty soon with talks around interstate commerce happening in other states already, federal legalization possibly, things of that nature, we will lose the opportunity to have an actual industry that we would like to see. And we will operate very, you know, similar to we are now and not have a good opportunity to show off Hawaii's potential. You know, and that would be really sad. Hawaii has done this on numerous issues, numerous industries, this is nothing new, right? And we're all hoping that cannabis changes that breaks the matrix in that way, but there's a possibility that it might not. We might miss this boat, and these licensees may not be around long. We will all go back to just, you know, doing it how it was in the past, but, you know, that when you still get 200 people that go to prison every year, you know what I mean, for this product, for this plant, not even product, this plant, when you get people that, even to this day, you know, aren't in the statistics who are arrested and put in jail, but then are on probation and pop positive on their probation. And we have the longest probation in the nation, bro. Probation in Hawaii on average is 5 months. You know what I mean? Crazy. Or 5 years, excuse me. Nuts, right? I mean, insane. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people are going to prison. And we're still on the outside fighting about who gets to make the most money. And no one's making money. You know what I mean? And like, I really feel like a lot of times we forget. You know what I mean? Because there was this rhetoric around for a while that was saying like some legalization is not as good as all legalization, or legalization is not all good or could be bad. But at the end of the day, you legalize cannabis, it comes with expungement. It comes with people getting out of prison or staying out of prison, moreover. Not going to jail. And
There's
I think,
not too much people serving some serious time.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah?
You'd be surprised.
Yeah?
You'd be really
No
surprised,
shit.
bro.
Like
100%.
10 plus years off of cannabis?
Well, that's the thing, is how the system gets you. Is it like you may get a charge and catch a charge for a year, but if you fail probation or you do something in jail and you get another 10, next thing you know, you're in prison for 10 years.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're awaiting trial for 2 years just to go to jail for 1 year. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then all of a sudden you're wrapped up in, you know, the criminal justice system is just an ugly, ugly place in this nation.
100%. It's uncalled for in certain situations, especially non-violent situations.
Yep.
I think that's fucking uncalled for. But, I mean, the likelihood of that happening and people being, like, heavily fucking, you know, incarcerated off.
I'm telling you, you'd be surprised.
Yeah.
You would be surprised.
No
bro.
shit, huh?
And that's the other hard thing is how, like, we can't lose sight of those individuals.
Well, how much
like,
of that incarceration came along with, like, oh, dude was strapped when he got rolled up on? You know,
it's hard to really get down to those details. I mean, you have to dive into the police report for that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's all because of cannabis. You know what I mean? The dude may have not been pulled over, whatever the case be. You know what I mean?
Right.
At the end of the day, there's some active part to that, right?
Right.
And if we lose sight that, like, we are going to continue to argue about little details that can be, like, the will work its way out. Like,
Right.
I'm a firm believer that the once we legalize that, whoever wants a license is going to be able to have an opportunity to get one. 100%. That was in 669, the licensing scheme for new people to have an opportunity to get in.
So
right?
more open. More
Right.
Of an open
More-
process,
way more
like
open.
Easier to, or not easier to get in, but like they're going to open the doors for
Yeah,
people.
exactly.
Like,
And they have to. There's no
Yeah.
way they can keep it closed. Everyone knows that, right?
So-
but if we don't start having this conversation and pass legalization now, for one, we're going to be years and years behind the curve. We may never get to that place where you're talking where you can actually start building what you need to build to be a player in this crazy space that's difficult to operate in. And two, at the same time, people are suffering, and the most disproportionately impacted is people that qualify as social equity still to this day. Today, right now, yesterday, tomorrow. And we could have prevented that at some point.
So I want to go. Something that sticks out for me was what May last time, because she was like, because they're saying like we got to do this, we're gonna miss the boat. But,
Yep.
I mean, what
Yep.
I've heard, what do you say to the argument of like, we don't have to rush it? Like, why pass bad laws just to get it in there? Because it'll
Yep.
be harder to take laws away. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's a fundamental misread of how legislation works. You never are going to pass the best bill. You're never going to pass a relatively good bill, really, at the end of the day, unless you have all of the miracle lines lined up and you're in the most progressive state. You know what I mean? We have never in the state of Hawaii passed the ideal piece of legislation. And if you're not willing to make a little bit of room for the in-betweens and compromise a little bit and say, okay, we might not get this time around, but we can fight like hell for it next year. We can fight like hell for it for 2 years from now, and we're not going to let up. But some progress is better than no progress. I think the no rushing thing, I think we had the best opportunity ever in the state of Hawaii to have a legalization effort this year. We had a supporting governor. Most of all the sitting representatives were relatively supportive of the issue. We had the opportunity to come together as a community and say, yes, but I think we really missed that boat.
So I'm just reading about this stuff. They're talking about like any rush in bills only causes problems.
So you can say that to any single bill that has ever existed, right? Like, they rushed an abortion bill this year, but it was a great thing that codified abortion into law in the state of Hawaii so that if a woman wants the right to choose, she can do so.
Mm-hmm.
And they passed it in 1 year. And is it a perfect bill? Absolutely not. There are some things in there that you could probably pick apart and say, you know, well, should X about a blah, blah, blah. You can really, but they had to rush it through. Like, it's an important thing to get through so that the federal government doesn't move on something and then eliminate it forever, right?
Right. And someone's saying that what we should be rushing is decrim and expungement.
I completely agree, and we should have done that 30, 40 years ago. We should have done that 20 years ago when we passed the medical law.
Right.
But you can't get a government to move to decrim something without measures in place to make sure it's safe. And I think that's the thing. Decrim will always come with how to do the licensing scheme, how to dispense it, how to relate to this thing in this new world.
I think that one's kind of cut and dry, though. Like, decrim is pretty much decrim, you know?
No,
It's
totally.
like-
But again, to the point, like, if we were just to decrim, there was a bill this year to just decrim, that's it. What would that mean for activities that don't happen currently, right? So currently it's illegal to, if I carried around 4 pounds, was going down Waikiki, had one boombox and handing out,
Right.
you know what I mean, or selling, right, to people, selling cannabis. But if it was decriminalized and up to, you know, say 4 pounds, homie could do that if he wanted. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's not for me to determine, but you're thinking through the lawmaker's eyes and lenses. That's a failure of their duty to protect the public. That's a failure of their duty to regulate this product that is a controlled substance. We're going to get the federal government to come on our backs.
Yeah, I don't think that's like a practical scenario, because like rolling around with 4 ounces, handing it out, like, first of all, no one really does that, and second of all, like,
But it would definitely happen if it decrims.
if it
That's what happened in
decrims,
New York.
Yeah, but I mean, in Hawaii, I think like more so an intent to distribute would kind of be, you know, how they had the 3 to 9 to 3 to 9
Yeah.
thing going on.
Yeah.
That's more of a infrastructure that I could get around. Like, hey, yeah, you can't be just fucking handing out like Santa Claus, but at the same time, like, if it was card to card or
Sure,
you know
sure,
along
sure.
that confines, then I could see like, fuck
But
it.
that's within a regulated program, though. And I think that's the thing, is like they would have to come up with the rules that if they decrim to say, okay, card to card, and here are the rules around the card to card.
Right.
And I think that's the main discussion here, right? Is like we can't decrim without some kind of rules of how you play with whatever is decrimmed.
Yeah, but
And
like I
that's
said,
unfortunate.
it's kind of it's kind of
Like-
black and white though. I mean, it's like it's a common sense line that you could draw. That's like,
But who's
obviously
common sense for whom, though? I think that's the question. Like we
Yeah.
can't. We still got to work with that system. That their common sense is different than.
I understand, but like we
Someone
so we were
else's.
honestly like just deferring everything because, like I said, that roadblock.
Yeah.
What we're talking about and this whole thing hits that roadblock to those unknown guys who are fucking, you know, pressing these buttons to get these bills passed or
Right.
shut down.
Well, let's play this scenario out. Say 669 passed, right? And it has a 2-year pilot period, and no one can get a new license until year 3. What is now 2023? That means 2024, 25, 26. You could apply for a license in 2026.
That's totally fine. Yeah.
Right. But now That's not going to be till 2026. It's going to probably be maybe 2028.
Right.
Because now they're going to have a whole new discussion, and they didn't pass a bill yet and all the things, right? So it's all like, we want to get to the end goal, but if we can't have the conversation about what happens once we pass the goal, and we're just all going to say, well, we don't know, it's all unknown, it's there's too many unknowns, let's just not do it. I think we can never even get to a place to try, see what happens. And I don't prescribe to the idea that, like, you can't ever go back. That, like, if you pass something that's bad, you can't change it. I mean, that happens all the time.
Right.
Like, we pass bad laws that get changed into good ones all the time.
Yeah.
And it just takes staying engaged, staying involved, knowing the issues, having an advocacy group. I mean, that's why 1,000 bills get sent to the legislature each year. 300 of them make it. And some of those bills, I would say 20% of them are like cleanup bills from like past stuff that they passed and was bad or didn't work out one way, and they had to tweak.
Well, the decrim thing is something that should be focused on, like, as a priority right off the bat.
Yep.
I mean, in my opinion, like, people shouldn't have to worry about this and should be able to operate within the confines of reality. You know what I mean? Like, it's not an open vending machine. I look at it as medicine, right? So, like, I shouldn't be fucking worried about dropping off to my auntie because she needs it. You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
right.
That's my take on that shit. So, like, we should focus on decrim and making that a clear line before we start anything else.
I think decrim has kind of been hashed out already, though. I mean, I feel like we've understood the confines of what Hawaii State currently is comfortable with decrimming. So, like, the proposal usually starts around an ounce. Other than that, if it's going higher than that, a lot of lawmakers get really uncomfortable, and a lot of agencies get uncomfortable. So, like, start there. You know what I mean? And then maybe, once we show them that the sky doesn't fall, maybe we can do 4 ounces in a year.
But our medical program has been open for so long, and we've shown that, like, home grows can, prove to be really beneficial, and even legacy farming could probably, I'm sure it's shown money going back into the system. So it's very profitable in both avenues. So, like I said, that gray area at which we would set, it would be under realistic confines. It wouldn't be like, hey, fuck it, take it, do whatever you want with it.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, realistic confines, not so much it's set in the narrative in one direction. And I think when people, like, read up on it, they get heated because it's like it's in one direction towards, they know it's kind of, I heard the term monopoly used a lot in this aspect where everything is kind of fucking guided towards dispensary and operation without a dispensary.
Because that's what lawmakers are comfortable with. They're not comfortable with non-regulated operations yet. And they will eventually. I think that's the thing, is like non-regulated to the point that they are now. And I think that's why the starting point was licensees.
Right.
It's because that's what they're comfortable with. They're like, oh, shoot, it's in the secure fence line. It's in a building. They have seed to sale tracking. They have audits. They're not funneling black market money or illicit market money. They're not funneling criminal enterprises, right? It's so controlled. That's when lawmakers will be like, okay, we've done a good job of making sure this is safe and sound. So when we do legalization, let's make sure it's still safe and sound, and then we can talk about what happens after that. And, like, how do we open it up? How do we allow regulations? How do we let our finger off the trigger just a little bit to say, like, okay, the sky's not falling. Let's add more people in. Let's add more supply chains. Let's add more licenses. Let's add
Take some risks.
Yeah.
But we're talking about this simultaneously as Thailand's doing what they're doing.
Right. But Hawaii don't give a shit. I don't care what Thailand's doing.
You're talking about a template at which to follow. Or
they don't care. They don't care, bro. Like, that's the hard part, though. Like, they just, like, no one can convince them that Thailand's way is better.
Before we end this, we need to find out exactly who they are and how to contact them to give our own personal testimony, and maybe we can educate them, these guys, on what's real and what's fucking not. You know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, those are the lawmakers. The list of lawmakers is really accessible online. A lot of them, easy to contact them. And then you just have to find a way to get their attention and educate them on this one topic.
Peacefully, guys. Peacefully.
Yeah. And there's great ways to do that.
Yeah.
Contact your representative. Ask for, I know the reps in my district usually will, totally take a meeting with you, 100%. I've had lawmakers take me out to coffee, or I take them out to coffee or whatever, and say, like, yo, there's this, crazy thing in my district. You want to talk about it? There's pretty accessible people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So totally. I think the education process, especially on a topic like this, it's going to take years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to bring
Yeah.
them on one at a time on the podcast.
There you go.
And talk to
That'd be
them.
cool.
I mean, that's why I want to know these names, and I want to reach
Yeah.
out to them and talk. You know, I mean, like, not only us, like, I look at it as like I'm talking to my principal. And no matter what the fuck I'm telling my principal,
Right.
he's still gonna fucking suspend me. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I'm looking at when I see those guys, I'm trying to like talk to them. I can tell it's not really making a difference, and my bullshit meter starts fucking flaring, and it's pretty hypersensitive.
Sure.
And you know, I look at it like, oh, fucking. Now you're driving a Mercedes. Oh shit, you're making some fucking money. I wonder how you're getting that money. You know,
Sure.
I'm gonna say what people are saying is like, I want to see through that shit. Like, hey.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. It's fallen on false. It's already decided, and now you're feeding into my narrative of you. You know what I mean? Like,
It's hard, man.
It is.
It's
I just want to,
especially when the
like,
system is really, it's designed not to change much.
Right.
And the American political system and the legislative system is designed so that like you can't just have some really wild changes all happen at once.
Yeah.
That's what happened in in a lot of countries that had really atrocities and stuff. You had one individual come in, wield a hammer, and just fuck everything up and get a mandate. And that's like the downside of the political system is that like it's a slog to get anything done and get anything through, and it takes forever for people to understand certain issues and even move an inch. It's
So I have a
so
question.
hard.
Sorry, I was going back to you what you guys were talking about earlier. That made me think. Why? What was the purpose of the pilot program? Why did they put that in there?
So a policy goal, really, again, it was that somebody needs to start sales on day one, because otherwise you're going to have this entire waiting period, about 2 years, what we've seen in New York, of completely unregulated individuals selling whatever they want, people trying to just jump in, selling PGR stuff on the street,
Right.
not even knowing, moldy, whatever, X, Y, and Z, and no one has a license yet. So the goal was who's meeting the current requirements of the 329D program? Who is already kind of up to that par and ready to go? There's 8 licenses that are ready to do it. So allow them to go, show you that the sky's not falling, show you that allowing anyone without a card that's 21 and over to purchase cannabis is not going to cause mass accidents on your street corners and more crime and all the things that the police department was saying in their op-eds. And then, we show you proof of concept. We show you that, like, with these guidelines, with these things that you've put out, that this can happen safely. And to the other point, the industries even came out and said in committee, and I've said this on record, that, like, if it's not the current dispensaries you want to go first, okay. Allow someone else who can meet the standards of 329D and Chapter 11850 do it. Who's ready? I don't know one. You know what I mean? Search for them. Go out there and look for them. Somebody's got to be ready to do that, right? And that's the policy goal, is like we can't legalize and essentially decrim and not set up a system where there's regulatory, that the state is not on board with that. And so you have to have someone fill that puka. Otherwise, you'll never be able to actually catch up to legal sales. You'll have a thriving market that is just operates outside of that system, and the policy goal will be for nothing.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all about regulatory.
It is.
You
It
talk
is.
about
I mean,
it's like,
just like anything, just like
Right.
vegetables at a grocery store, just like, everything that we consume, it has regulations on it. They've got to have some kind of control measure.
so the control measure for produce being sold off the side of the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what does the state do for that? What does the lawmakers have proposed for, like, Cunha Farms? I could drive up that fucking road and I can buy.
Yeah.
It's like a farmer's market on the side of the road,
Totally.
right?
Yep.
So, what's to stop that from being regulated?
I mean,
and
there are lots of regulations on, like, what happens when they get into a commercial operation. There's regulations on, like, what pesticides you can and cannot use in your crop. There's regulations on where that agricultural place is zoned. You know what I mean? You can't be in a residential area, stuff like that.
100%.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
There's all of these rules and regulations about what you're doing. And then when you start operating in a commercial space, then you're subject to a whole bunch of different rules.
100%.
You know what I mean?
But what I'm trying to say is, like, both of the fucking food markets can pretty much harmoniously get along, and still make what they need to make. Like, I know a lot of
It's
farmers.
hard to be a farmer, man.
Bro, I know a guy who's doing mamaki, and he got in with Whole Foods.
Nice.
And he's making it as a farmer.
Right.
But he also does door-to-door drop-offs, farmers markets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's able to survive that way as a farmer that's not being regulated on the confines of fucking cannabis would be,
Right.
you know.
Cannabis is a Schedule I drug. That's why.
Yeah. And, you know,
So that's the main difference between
100%.
like a vegetable fruit
Yeah.
farmer's market and
yeah.
like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know patients.
Uh,
that
com-
they, you know,
yeah, 100%.
is that a fruit and vegetable isn't a Schedule
Yes,
I drug?
exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
That'll clarify things for people, I think.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So it comes down to the federal confines. So now let's talk about federal legalization.
Yeah.
So if federal legalization happens, I now as a farmer can say, yeah, fuck it. Here's weed on the side of the road. Can someone come
Well,
get
we
it?
don't know that yet. Whatever federal legalization will do is to be determined. We
But-
don't know if it's just going to deschedule. We don't know if they're going to come up with their own rules and their own tax structure and their own requirements on what
True.
to do. You know what I mean?
But enforcement, as far as state goes, how do you think that's going to reflect? Because, yeah, I mean, just like, fuck, it's still illegal. And, like, here we are,
Yeah,
like, you know what I
yeah.
mean, talking about farms in Hawaii.
You know what I think is the biggest threat of federal legalization, and what's the biggest threat to our industry and our people and our possible jobs that we could create here, is the fact that federal legalization can make it so you could go online and you could go to jungleboys.com and you can order 3 ounces and it'll show up on your doorstep 2 weeks later.
Well, Jungle Boys is full of shit, and they suck.
You
So,
agree.
like, it'll be horrible to, like, get their shit in the mail, knowing that they shit in your bag and they're sending
Right.
it over.
And it's
So,
empty, no nutrients.
100%.
no-
You're going to shop local and go to your local fucking farmer.
Well, that's the thing.
you
Is
know
like
what I mean?
some people may, but
Yeah.
for the majority of consumers, and we're talking once legalization hits, the majority of the cannabis consumer market is not going to be connoisseurs. It's going to be people that are like, nah, I like smoking every once in a while.
100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the majority of them, what do they care about? Price point and convenience.
Yeah.
So if they can get, you know, a 3 ounces online from some whatever distributor that thinks they got the fire that week for $75, signed, sealed, and delivered to show up on their doorstep. I mean, we're talking about every grocery store in Hawaii mostly has the majority of their produce is from out of state.
100%.
And this is going to be the same exact thing. It's an agricultural product.
Totally fine. Yeah, it's the competition is well welcomed because, like, I know for a fact that the practices and because legacy has been generational in Hawaii just hits a little bit different. I think availability won't. We see it in the cannabis market coming right now, right? We have
Right.
flown over shit.
Yep,
We
yep.
see the shift in market, but we're also going to see a flood in market, right? But we're going to see a flood in shitty weed.
Totally.
I mean, Amazon weed, it'll be shitty. That's when I think the legacy market's going to start coming up, and the cream of the crop's going to start floating, and people are like, fuck, I need
100%.
that weed. You know,
That happens in most states.
yeah. So
And people are like in California right now, there's craft guys that are demanding a good price. There's probably close to what pounds are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Per ounce. They're demanding an ounce for what pounds are going for.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because they are really good at what they do.
right.
We talked
But-
about that a lot, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
like how
And that's
it'll
gonna
be the
happen.
uprising of the craft farmer. Like
Yeah.
last time,
Yes.
Brandon, what was Brandon saying that that fucking super bougie shit he had, like it's never touched by hand,
Oh,
like
shit.
all that. You know what I mean? Like that shit.
Yeah. I mean, that'll definitely happen, but that only comes with legalization. That doesn't come with any other.
Right,
Doesn't
right,
come
right.
with prohibition, right? That has to, and that'll definitely happen. That'll happen in any space, but it won't be enough to sustain a healthy market in Hawaii. Like maybe a couple hundred farmers could do that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? But like we want in Hawaii, we want thousands.
Mm-hmm.
We want cannabis industry to do better than what the pineapple and sugar industry did in Hawaii back in the day.
Right.
We want it to regenerate land. We want it to breed sustainability practices. We want it to provide local generational wealth. You know what I mean? And those things are kind of pie in the sky, but the only way we can get there is if we make sure that we don't have to compete with, Glass House in California that has just acres and acres and they can produce.
Well, that's an easy solution, though. It's like having more craft farmers able to operate.
But there's only so many people that want craft cannabis. The majority of people, I think, that we are missing out. We are in an echo chamber. We're in a bubble.
The
like,
Budweiser drinkers.
yes,
Nah, I don't
exactly,
think
bro.
so. Like, if I put
not the
fucking-
Heineken, the green bottle drinkers.
If
bro.
I put
Like,
fucking sticks in front of you versus some fucking nice nugs, 9 out of 10 times the guy's going to grab the good nug.
right, but unless they have to decide how fast can they get it and how much they have to pay for
I
it.
mean, Hawaii's a small place. 20 minutes, I can drive pretty much anywhere. You know what
Right,
I mean?
but can you get it to them at,
The price point?
yeah.
For sure, it's grown here. Yeah, and if you're talking $70 for an eighth coming over the mail packaged,
Right.
motherfucker, I'll put it in a jar that's like 60 cents.
But I
Take it to your house. You know what I mean?
But
70
I think
bucks.
this is the fundamental issue in all of other agricultural products too, is that like in their overhead for growing lettuce or growing rice is so low. Why don't we have a lettuce industry in Hawaii? It's because when you do it at scale, and this is kind of like business economics, when you have a company that's able to completely undercut your prices and completely offer a product that's, you know, in the same category, not comparable, the majority of the people will go for the cheaper and comparable product. And
Right.
and that's unfortunate because me and you, I'm going to know exactly who my farmer is. I want to know what inputs are. I want to know what
Well,
product,
on the
you know
flip,
what I mean?
though, like if you look at it on the flip side, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. That like it has to be heavily fucking regulated for public safety. Now, if you have multiple craft micro
I don't even think it
farms,
needs to be heavily, but
I mean,
yeah,
it
needs
is
to be
regardless,
regulated.
right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like cannabis, we're talking about,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But if they were to have multiple, I mean, there's a lot of people that I know personally that would love to have a fucking eighth of an acre just to grow a greenhouse to produce their work,
Yeah.
you know, and brand themselves. Instead of having the masses funneled into a couple of corporations, a couple of big, huge businesses that are having this blown out overhead and keeping people on the working level, want to allow us to do micro farms,
Yeah.
you know, all over the place.
I think that's a great idea. And I don't think anyone would oppose that at all. I think everyone wants to go
Except
towards that.
those guys, you know what I mean?
Even those guys don't want that.
Well, those fuckers got to get on board because, I mean, that's
They've
the
been on board.
solution.
That's the thing is like they...
I'm talking about lawmakers, those
Yeah.
guys.
I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
I think that they're like... There's even individuals that fundamentally agree with you. Like, I've got friends who got elected to office and now sit up there and they do the thing. And they're smart. And they know that that's the goal. But you have to convince 71 people, with the majority of them that think differently than
I mean,
you.
if those guys are listening to numbers, we can easily put out fucking numbers. You know, we
Yeah,
can easily
yeah,
put
yeah,
out like,
for sure.
hey, it's going to cost you way less because there's three
Yeah,
entities that's
yeah.
getting everyone's piece of the pie. We can spread it out to have a free market
Right.
with very minimal
And that's
regularization.
going to happen. Like, that will happen. It will.
Fuck, dude, in
It's
the
just gonna take
direction,
a
it's
while.
kind of like looking at this laws being produced. It doesn't look that way. It looks like it's
Yep.
being pushed towards these big businesses, and I'm about everybody getting the medicine.
Wait. Let's approach that real quick.
Okay.
What's a definition of a big business?
The dispensaries,
But like, what makes them a big business?
the operation, the
So
size
the
of the
size of the operation?
yes, and what's flowing through it. I mean, we already know that.
So, for example, let's look at Kauai,
Okay.
the license on Kauai, right? They have maybe like 8 employees.
Mhm.
They have a grow site that is maybe a third of the size of Karuailua. They have
Mm-hmm.
2 retail spots, and they do their kind of extracts, in a small refurb fishing or shipping container.
then why not give out more licensing?
Is that a big business?
It is if there's only one. Want to give out more licenses to have multiple guys?
But there's not only one, right? There's
Kauai?
8. They're in Kauai. There is.
Yeah. So
And
we're talking about Kauai as its
Right.
entity, right?
There's one licensed, but that doesn't mean that the whole market is saturated with just one guy, right?
100%.
Like there's so many people producing and so
Thank
many
God for
people-
Legacy to cup the
Yes.
balls of the fucking
Right,
the market
right.
out there, right? But at the same time, like, okay, if we're talking about big businesses and what's a big business, I think them allowing to operate as a singularity
Right.
would qualify them as a big business because there's no outside competition to keep them in check, or even like just anybody
Right.
competing.
So I
being
think maybe
competitive.
your definition of big business is different than some others. I think people think that these entities are some like huge corporate conglomerates that like came in and flew in on a helicopter and were dropped off with suitcases of money and like came in and like started a business solely for the reason to extract
Well, they kind of
money
were
from people.
flew in because none of them were from Hawaii, right?
No. There were people. I mean, one of the requirements to even apply for a license was to be a resident.
Yeah.
So a lot of the people who actually ended up getting the licenses were residents of
What
Hawaii.
about Kanaka?
Well, no one had a license that like was able. So there were 60 some people. I mean, I think it was actually 70 some people that applied for the licensing, right? So the Department of Health picked 8 people, and it was. The thing was, they didn't have any criteria at the time, and especially during that time, the social equity conversation wasn't even happening. So on the merit-based application of who gets a license, there wasn't a box to check to say you were a social equity applicant or anything of that nature.
Got you. Yeah.
And it just wasn't considered. No, it was just Department of Health. Department of Health, what they did is they put together a rubric. So they get all the applications, all 60 of them, and they put together a rubric saying, we're going to score you on, categories 1 to 9. 1 is business acumen. 2 is, what does your board of directors look like? Do you have doctors? Do you have, they had all these categories, and then they scored it 1 through, 500, and then whoever got the top score licensed got the license. You know what I mean? Like, there was... I think that there's a lot of mystery behind like how the process works, but it's all public and it's all really easy to find that information.
My conspiracy
There's no like
follows.
secret people behind the curtains.
No,
Well, my
Yeah.
conspiracy shit starts going off, right? I'm like, I
Yeah.
wonder how much of these outside investors of the dispensary are part of this committee that you're talking about.
Yeah, one of those-
No, I think
See,
that you're
that's-
giving
yeah.
government way too much.
I don't know,
credit,
man.
dude.
These
I think that you-
motherfuckers,
Dude,
yeah.
their
no.
resume's pretty sneaky, dog.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've worked
Governments.
in state government, and I think that you guys are thinking these guys can actually execute a plan. Like, we're not talking about people that have the knowledge to do something that tricky. Like,
JFK.
I think it,
Well,
it
that
doesn't
wasn't-
take knowledge. I think it just takes money.
That's the government, the CIA,
you'd be
the
surprised- you'd be
NSA.
surprised on that.
Going back to
What
greasing the
about
wheels,
Snowden?
but
Like
still.
Snowden was with the NSA. He's a government agency. He blew the whistle on fucking everything, right? So like,
right, but they didn't have some scheme to hand out licenses, right? What he blew
well,
up.
if someone's dropping like fucking 300K on your lap, I'm sure you're gonna check that box, you know.
But even that, like, we have checks and balances that, like, I get it. Hawaii is probably one of the most corrupt places I have ever.
Aloha's,
been-
you know what I
dude.
mean?
It's-
Fuck, dude, that's
we
the chief of police.
We should have a TV series that like just follows Hawaii stuff year after year. That would sell more than anything
Bro,
in
there's
the
a
world.
fucking
It's
book that shout out to Drew,
insane.
man. He's like, hey, read this. It tells you about the Kealohas. I'm like,
Yeah, bro.
holy fuck,
We
dude.
have so many scandals in this state.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least here, let me say this: I can't verify nor deny that there was some trickery going on behind the scenes. But I think that saying that whoever picked who got the licenses pulled strings or did some special favors or had a scheme that was developed to benefit I think that's giving people too much credit. I think that they were all stressed out trying to figure out how this thing works, and they just did it in a pretty sloppy way. You know what I mean? Like,
see,
I think
I'm
that
not good at.
I don't think
following
millions
these
of
things,
dollars would
but I
be
just-
left up to sloppy, though, man.
people
Like,
like
I don't
me-
know,
that's
man.
all of government,
Yeah.
bro.
Well,
Like,
people like me, we just hear the
all of
bullet
government.
points.
Why are we paying taxes?
You know?
Why the fuck are we
Because we
paying
have
taxes
to.
if it's lobbed up to sloppy
Yeah.
behavior?
But
like,
I mean, I think we all grow up thinking that there's like a bunch of adults solving all these problems, and we get to these buildings and there's no adults. We're all children.
well,
trying
what the
to,
fuck
like,
am I doing
slam
filling out
things
my
together.
tax paperwork so good that I'm going to get audited if I fucking skip a box and I'm
Yeah.
lobbying
You're a
all my fucking...
worker bee, motherfucker.
That's
That's
right,
what I'm
that's right.
saying, dude. Like,
There he is.
I mean, we have been
Fuck.
relegated to this space, man.
it's shitty because, like, I can get fucking my balls chopped for doing
Yeah.
something like that as a business owner.
Totally.
And like we're lobbing this shit up to sloppy behavior,
Yeah.
and we're talking
Yeah,
about
man.
medicine for the public.
Yeah, dude.
That's funded billions of dollars.
Welcome to the fucking system, man.
I-
It is shitty.
No, that's kind of, it's hard for me to believe, my man. It's hard for me to believe. It's easier for me to believe that someone got fucking slid money and be like, here you go, bro. Here's my fucking business.
I'm not saying that exactly. I'm just
I
saying.
am.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying that didn't happen either.
Right,
But
right.
I did hear that like the people that were supposed to pick the licensees were like was not secret. Like I said, it was more like they didn't release the names or no one knew.
Oh,
who
I'm
was gonna
sure
be
that they
like
probably they didn't release their names.
See, but
I mean,
right
who
there,
would want
to
one
me,
of,
that raises a red flag already. 'Cause-
100%.
so we cannot connect the dots.
Who you think controls the world? Nobody we voted for. You don't know these motherfuckers.
I mean, it was to be honest,
That's
it was
true,
probably just some staffers. You know what I mean? That
Yeah,
the
but
state
then
put
again, like we'll
together.
never know. But that's what I mean. We
Right.
cannot connect the dots.
Well,
now. Like,
I
you know
think
what I mean?
from the Department of Health standpoint, they would probably be like, we won't release those names because it's a liability. These people could get.
see that.
You know what I mean?
At the
People
same
go
time,
knocking at
I
your
don't
door
think-
saying, "Why didn't you put my application?"
I don't think that's not. I think that's not transparent enough, though.
Yeah.
like if
I hear
if
you.
They
Government-
should be. If you're gonna
100%.
if you're gonna be making those decisions, you should be ready to put your name in that spotlight.
Sure, sure.
You know, and so people
I'll
can
tell you
say,
what, though, that
oh
whoever-
yeah,
Yeah.
Kalei has no relation to Randy, and
Yeah,
he picked.
yeah.
Randy.
Make an
You know what I'm
open book
saying?
of that thing.
I mean,
you
I
know?
do know that they did have a lot of regulations on like who could apply and if you were family members and all that kind of stuff, which was. But I get you. I get your point. And it's hard to. That's all speculation.
So
I
like
don't even know.
you know, I was like Unruly popped up. He kind of.
Oh, Alex, what's up, Alex?
So Alex popped up.
Hey, man.
What he posted about the Bilotti and getting money from Monsanto and all this stuff. Like, is that anything like?
I think here's the thing to know about politics in general, is that you have people who are incentivized. This is how the American political system works.
Right.
You're incentivized to raise money to stay in office, to run a campaign. And the good representatives and the good elected officials, they raise the money, but they don't promise anything. They say, okay, you like what I stand for, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Homie X or Y, or you're a certain issue and you like that I'm a person that stands up for agriculture, okay, you can donate to my campaign.
Got you.
You know, if some representatives will say that gives them access, right? Okay, call me when you need me. If you want to talk about an issue, we'll talk about an issue. Okay. I'm not going to vote your way if I don't agree with you, right? And I think there's this misconception, at least because of how corrupted American politics have been, is that like if you donate to someone, that therefore they're beholden to you for the rest of their career or something, right? So like I donate to campaigns that I think people I love that have run for office that want to change the system, and you know what I mean? Like I've donated to Kalei Pradakino, who ran in my district, you know, and tried to get into office. I've donated to Kiani Rollins over in Maui, you know what I mean, who really can speak truth to power. Right. Doesn't mean that they're going to do what I tell them to. You know what I mean? I may be able to call them and they may pick up my phone and be like, yo, Randy, what's up, bro? Like, oh, this cannabis is coming up. You know what I mean? You guys are going to vote for legalization? I hope you do. But they're not beholden to me, right? And yes, there's some bad actors. We've just seen in the past few years some representatives go down for taking an envelope of cash, right? And that's definitely not the first time that's ever happened, right? But for
who's
the
to say
most
that's
part,
not happening in the cannabis industry, because we know it's such an economic thing, you know?
But the thing is, for what benefit? Ain't nobody making money. So what are you handing out?
Now they know that, and that's why these fucking laws are starting to come out, right? You know, like if you look at the timeline, it's like, okay, yeah, boom, they got the licenses, they were operating. Fuck, dude, the legacy market's taking out money, and I know this from fucking being a farmer in Cunha and having like.
But this is all not new information.
I have 11 clients in Cunha that's like, bro, they're flying drones and they're chopping my fucking farms. Like, I'm getting raided as soon as the drones are flying over. The next day, the cops are coming. You know what I mean? So, like, that right there just takes the wind out of our fucking sails.
I totally understand that. But I don't think that there's the individuals who have licenses are pulling the strings to fly drones over.
No, but I know that some of the NOAA guys are on the committee on the HOA in Cunha. So I'm not fucking, I know that there's some double dipping of the chip, and I know that NOAA is located in Cunha. So, I mean, lo and behold, we're getting fucking the book thrown at us at the HOA level, knowing that NOAA is fucking operating out of our backyard also. So the bullshit fucking kind of flows to the surface. Like, for me being there, it's like, bro, I'm just trying to fucking grow a little bit of fucking weed, you know, for my family. And you got, and
you're doing well within your limit, so you should have no problem.
Yes, but let's say, hey, I'm doing well as a farmer. I want to try and make a living for my family with it.
Yeah.
Right. So now I want to go and try and possibly matrix myself. You know, scale up just a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, live the American dream. Right. How can I, when there's laws coming out where it's going to put me at restriction and put me where it's like, hey, dude, if you make fucking RSO, bro, guess what?
Yeah. I mean, again, I think that you can affect change in that way. You can tell your story about why you deserve to be where you're at and deserve to either fall into the system or have an exemption if you need more plants to grow RSO. I think there's a way to do that.
And I think that we need to talk to those people directly because, like, I mean, I look at testimonies and I see people laughing at testimonies. You know what I mean? Like, do you know something I don't know? You know, I'm thinking, I see that video of the homie fucking, like, laughing, and it's like,
I can't speak for none of them folks. I don't know.
I know, but I seen that, and, like, I fucking got heated because, like, these guys are giving their testimony on why cannabis is so important to them and why we need to keep it the way it is in the medical program, and fuckers laughing. You know what I mean? That rubbed me the wrong way. You shouldn't conduct yourself that way, and that kind of tells me you know something I don't. You know, and you know something that is going to affect me, and you're laughing like I'm wasting my fucking time. Yeah.
I feel that.
Right. So, yeah.
More questions?
I have a question.
Yeah,
first.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Let's go.
because I know Eric's over here. We're going 2.5 hours right now.
Oh.
Eric, what the
man
fuck are you
down.
doing over
Oh,
there? Just
But
get over here.
so
dude.
he's
We can wrap it
kinda-
up.
Yeah, we
Here's
can
what
kinda
the fuck's
start-
going
so
on with
I got a
Eric right
couple,
now. Uncle Eric is gonna give you an update. I am not gonna be able to contribute anything to your conversation. You guys are doing great, by the way.
Yeah, you.
Fuck yeah.
That tea, bruh.
I want to say we lost
Let's go.
fucking DeVaughn a while ago, but
Yeah.
appreciate him.
Thank
for
you
coming
so
on.
much, DeVaughn, for coming on.
Wealth
Yeah.
of knowledge,
Just-
that guy. And I'm not speaking for DeVaughn, but I'm speaking for DeVaughn right now. Me and him both were completely open books, man. We are happy to talk to anyone at any time. If you want to dispel some information, talk about something other than anything that's like covered in like my non-disclosure agreement and stuff like that
100%.
with, professional stuff. But
Yeah.
all my cards are always facing up. I'm always happy to take someone's phone call, always down to talk. And DeVaughn has always been there as that homie, too. He's always been like, yo, we can agree to disagree. Let's talk on a topic. Call me anytime. He's done that to everybody I've seen him meet in Hawaii. So, big ups to him for really holding it down and being just someone who's always real and upfront with people. So
That's how it should be,
Yep,
man. Just
agree.
be upfront. Even if you don't
100%.
agree with somebody, you got
It's
conflicting
fine.
interests.
Yeah,
Fine.
Just be fucking upfright. You're
Exactly.
fine. We're human
Completely
beings.
agree.
We
But
can
have a
coexist.
civil
Yep.
dialogue at least,
Exactly.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
But so I just wanted to say, since Eric kind of wants to wrap it up, did you
Let's
have
go.
any points you wanted to hit? Like,
He's trying
just
to
so
blame
we're
it on
gonna-
me.
like,
Yes,
is
I
there-
do, but he also does too. He's trying to put all the blame
no,
on me.
smoke
No,
is
I
fatty,
don't work
dude.
tomorrow.
fuck, dude.
do
I gotta
not.
I
work
feel you,
tomorrow
I feel
too.
you, I feel you.
I
guys.
don't work tomorrow. I don't give a fuck.
Oh,
I'm
fuck
trying
you.
to
But
help
you guys have
out
been
here.
going, you guys, I say, but we have been going for over 2.5 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we should
Let
start
the
to
man rap.
kind of wrap it up because that wrap up could even last for another fucking hour.
I was
You're right.
getting there.
Don't put confines on me, bro. We're talking about
Trying
freedom
not to,
on this
but-
podcast.
Don't regulate my time.
Stop regulating me.
That's why I'm off camera. I'm trying to let you guys do your shit, but
It's
I
a
also
trigger.
I'm tired.
That's what I was trying to
And I
get
got-
at, so we can wrap. If
yeah,
there's
yeah,
anything
yeah,
else
yeah.
you wanted to add, like I'm sure you came here and
Not
wanted
really.
to,
I mean, I'll round out some
make some
points.
points,
I'll
yeah,
round out
yeah.
some points.
I'm gonna come back. I'm coming back, guys.
Yeah, you.
Tomorrow.
no, stay here. Don't.
I'll
go
wrap
there.
up some points. I mean, I think at the end of the day that like most everybody I've talked to and interacted in the cannabis community, we all want the same thing. There's the end goal that the light at the end of the tunnel, the rainbow, and the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow is the same. Just how we get there and how we approach it is the difference.
Right.
And the cannabis community is always, in my opinion, I've always seen it as a place of inclusivity, about love, about positivity, good vibes, and I want to encourage everyone to get back on that page because that's the only way we all win. You know what I mean? And we need a really big effort coming up in the next few years of bringing people together to figure out the way that we do this the best path forward. And there's going to be a lot of things that's going to be hard to swallow. There's going to be a lot of concessions we have to make. There's going to be a lot of discussions. We're like, okay, we can't do that this time, but we can do it next time. There's going to be a lot of kind of putting bygones aside and letting people just, say, okay, we got a mission to do. Let's do it together. And there's going to be, there's going to be hard conversations.
How do you do that? That was gonna be my final question. Like, how do you get
$1,000,000
everyone
question.
together on both ends and be like,
I might
you know,
suggest
you have a but do
Moon
you have a
Rabbit
suggestion for
teas
that?
and
Yeah, right.
being on
give
live-
everybody one moon rabbit.
be live on the
tea.
internet on
Yeah.
Moon Rabbit
To be
teas
honest,
and
bro,
expose yourself,
cannabis ain't
son.
enough.
That is a problem that I have never been able to find a really good solution for yet, and I think that's why we see what is happening right now. Right? There's no coming together. There's no central point of conversation. There's no common ground being built. And I think that there's going to be opportunities for that in the future, and I think that we all have to just continue to look for it. And I think with the advent of social media and fake news and all this thing, it's easier for us to point in other people and stay in our silos and not get in conglomerates like that. But I think there's going to be opportunities in the future to do so, and I would just encourage everybody to lean in, do something that's a little uncomfortable, and try to come into community and hear different opinions and do the thing. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do it. And we're gonna smile. And we're gonna smoke, and we're gonna have a good time. But you got to come prepared with solutions and kind of some bridge building.
Yeah, the farmers have a lot of solutions, a lot of ideas to keep sustainable, to keep Hawaii. I think that's the main thing
Yeah.
that people don't want to lose, is they don't want to lose Hawaii, bruh.
Agreed.
With this legalization, that's a fucking real thing that we have to worry about. If we are gonna fucking lose Hawaii, we're gonna lose Hawaii to these holidays coming through. And fuck, we don't need that. We gotta
I think we got enough smart people that we are going to really minimize that. I mean, just given the nature of capitalism, it's hard to really tackle that on one issue. But I think that we have enough smart people to really push back as much as we can on that. I mean, the task force was the task force was a good indicator of it. You know, it came out with a pretty good structure to work from of like what it would look like to push back on really huge, big investors that would come in and take over. But we need some investors. We need people to support one another. You know what I mean? There's a lot of local investors, but there's also a lot of local people that left and made it in other industries in Vegas, in California, and Colorado that want to invest back in their home state. You know what I mean? So providing them opportunities to do so, that now that they've, you know, I know homies that have made it really good in some industries, and they want to support Hawaii again. They want to come back and invest and make sure that people have opportunities here too.
Right. So if people want to get in contact with you, Randy, where can they reach you on social media? I'm ending this motherfucker.
Yo,
jeez.
Sorry.
You can contact me at Randy Gonce. That's my really original Instagram. My email address is rgonce, just like my first initial, my last name, at my.hpu.edu. You can contact me at any time. I'm happy to go grab a coffee, sit, talk story, shoot current events, or talk about cannabis issues. Man, this is my passion. This is my love. At the end of the day, you know, I consider myself an anti-capitalist, aloha aina, settler that came here that wants to earn his keeps. And, you know, I'm happy to start from that place, always get my hands dirty and help on your projects. But come with solutions, come with aloha, come with love, and we're going to be all right.
Right on, man. Kalei, put that mic back in front of you and do your
So I was rolling this fucking joint, man. It's kind of hard right now.
No. So people can find the Grow Guru at Oahu Garden Supply.
Yes,
Some
sir.
numbers, Leo Street, Waipahu.
94150 Leo Street, Waipahu, Hawaii, 96797. Fucking Erik.
Beautiful Waipahu, sir.
Shout out to Mills, our fucking sponsor. We love you very much. Thank you guys so much for having our backs and believing in us. And
I have to read it. Millsnutrients.com.
Putting up with this right
Mills
here.
pays the bills. I hope they checked out episodes before they
Nah, he gave the full run through vaguely. I'm like, dude, this shit. I think he just looked at the clips Mike did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh fuck.
Appreciate you guys for the medicine.
Thank you.
For the smokes.
Guaranteed.
Moon
for the
Rabbit.
tea, Moon Rabbit. Appreciate you guys.
Small Kind High by Solidify.
Brutal Mars art.
Brutal Mars. And Meet Lux.
Yes, sir.
And you can find me, Voices from the Planet, on Instagram and my other podcast. Bud Naked on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Behind the scenes. Shout out to Turtle Doves, who couldn't be here this evening, for freeing up a seat for me to go run away to for a little bit.
Just fucking hide out.
Sitting on the eggs.
Yeah, exactly. I was nest sitting for that guy. But yeah, thank you for joining us,
My pleasure.
for
Anytime.
putting
Anytime,
yourself
for
out
real.
there. I know it's
For real.
hard. And shout out to DeVaughn for joining us all the way.
Shout out Devon.
Yeah.
2 a.m. in the morning. Jesus
Yeah.
fucking Christ.
Dedicated.
Yes, that is dedication. And yeah, shout out to all the people on live.
Yeah.
Thank you all. Appreciate
Thanks for
you.
joining.
Yeah, keep the conversation going. But yeah, that's it for us. Anything else? Am I missing anything? Be sure to like and subscribe.
I did all the talking through this whole thing, so he
No,
can
you did.
fucking-
You
did
did
a
real
good job.
fucking good, dude.
Carried it.
Good job. Good job.
Carried
so
a long
high.
conversation. I appreciate you guys.
No, yeah, you
No, we
guys.
appreciate
There's
you,
a
man.
lot of
Thank
topics
you.
to cover too. So
Yeah, thank you.
No, fuck. I think you guys did your thing, and it was fucking awesome. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to everybody. Love you guys. See you next time. Peace.